has more on the case.
Two young girls witnessed this dog being thrown from a moving vehicle in the Petco parking lot on the Avon side of town, and they begged their parents to stop, and they found her on the ground immobile, and they brought her into Petco for safekeeping. Petco then contacted me.
And she says she's optimistic about the surgery. They've already raised $6,000 for the operation.
Not bad.
WTIC News Time is coming up on 3:04. Here's Bob Cox with the WTIC Weather Center forecast.
There's still the chance for a shower or two during the afternoon, but many parts of the day remain dry. The high around 80, give or take, and it stays humid right into tonight and tomorrow. It'll be a mostly cloudy sky during the night with some patchy fog and that ever-present chance for passing shower, low 66 to 72. Thursday, clouds, some sun, warm and humid with the chance for a shower or thunderstorm, highs in the low 80s. Then becoming clear and less humid Thursday night, lows in the low 60s. Sunny and very pleasant Friday, highs in the low to mid 80s, dew points down in the upper 50s and low 60s. The weekend also looks sunny and warm with highs in the 80s Saturday and up around 90 Sunday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Bob Cox in the WTIC Weather Center.
It is 75 right now in Hartford. Stay tuned for Red Sox baseball. Sox finishing up their series in Colorado against the Rockies in mere minutes. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Check, check, check.
Good to go, sir.
Hold up 1 second. This shit in here, everything halfway broken. All right. So there you go. You are good right here.
Will I hear sound or do I just go in?
Nah, you're gonna hear sound in a minute.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for the last minute of the commercials before they load the playlist on the main shit. Then I gotta go in the other room, press a button, come back in here, run a commercial, all that shit.
Okay, no problem.
This should be a pain in the ass.
Thank you, Michael B. It's up and running now. Those of you who are wondering, We are going to be strictly.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. We're going to be strictly on the WTIC.com feed. So Red Sox are playing live, so they will be streamed through the regular network channel. So if you're waiting on us, please stand by. We'll be with you in a moment. I just realized my microphone wasn't on Facebook. Forgive me, everybody. I want to make sure that I get this right. Are friendships worth it? I want to focus on that in the 5 o'clock hour. Because I'll admit, when I was a kid, I had two very important friends. When I was young, when I was a kid, I want to say 14, 15 years old, even 13 years old, I had a very small amount of friends. I didn't have a lot of them, just had small. When I was in junior high school, Richard and Andrew were my best friends. We walked to school every day with each other. Every day, to school and every day back. In fact, Andrew hated my guts a lot. But I had a huge crush on his sister. But Andrew and I were not the greatest friends, but he was friends with Richard and Richard was friends with me. So we were kind of forced to hang out with each other. And we did for a little while. And then when that was over, I started hanging out with my good friend, Jamie Montgomery, who I've known for many, many years. I've got plenty of stories about him. He was my good friend for a lot of years off and on. But I always kept a small amount of friends. They were interchangeable, but I never had more than two. My grandmother said to me many moons ago, she said, if you can count your friends on more than one hand, you're a liar. I thought, oh, and when your grandmother tells you something like that when you're young, they stick to you. They're like old wives' tales. You grow up with that statement by an elder resonating with you. And my grandmother, she was an evil, mean woman. But she used to say that if you can count friends, you can count your friends on more than one hand, you're a liar. And I would count my friends, and it was never more than 2 or 3. And today, here I am, 55 years old, and I can't count that many friends. Now, I've got acquaintances. I got people who I love and I adore, but I can't call them friends because I have everybody has an ideal. It's subjective what you think a friendship is, right? I think friendships are subjective to that person. A friend could be somebody you just hang out with and watch the ball game with, right? You just see each other on weekends, but you don't go on vacation with one another. Some people have those friends where the couples or those particular guys, they do everything together. They work on cars together. They drink beers together. They're on the fantasy football team together. So there are so many iterations, if you will, of friends, but I just never had that many. And I don't know if it's like, okay, can I be honest with you? And I want to hear as honest as you can the reasons why you have many or don't have as many. So I'm going to start first, and I think I shouldn't ask any of you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So let me just lay it out. And I think this is indicative of a lot of men in my age group. A friend in need is a pest. That's just me. That's just me. I don't want to know that much about a person's life. When you're a friend, you must have empathy for them, and you must have concern for them, and you have to want to hear their problems. When they're upset about something, that's the person who's going to call you and say, hey, man, I'm in a rough way, and you've got to be empathetic to what they're going through. And I got to be honest with you, folks, I'm not that guy. I'm just not. I'm too busy. And my wife has got another project that she is going to bleed my wallet dry. I've got my own problems. And you'll never hear me call anyone else telling you, man, the wife's driving me crazy. You'll never hear it. I will never pick up the phone and call Mark in West Hartford, who I consider pretty close. I love that guy. I will never call him and be like, hey, Mark, man, if I ever told you what this woman is trying to get me to do this, I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And I don't expect any of my friends to do it to me. So, and for the young people, let me get to that part, because I think that also is part of the reason why I brought this up, or I thought about this today. Young people need friendships. It's almost therapeutic for them to have a peer group. You know, if social media notwithstanding, they need that core peer group that sort of qualifies what they think and how they feel and what they're going through. They need as many of those people as they can. Where when you get older, you start distancing yourselves from actually, being in there. I've got a next door neighbor who's asked me, his name is Al. He said, hey man, you think about going fishing, with me one time, because he goes out every weekend. I looked him right in his face and I just went, no. Not interested at all. And he goes, wow, really? It's peaceful and it's serene? I'm like, no, it's not. For me, peaceful and serene is sitting at home watching the news all day. That's peaceful and serene with me. Out in nature, out in the wilderness with a fishing pole by a lake, and the only thing I can hear is the water and maybe some conversation with the person. Nope, not interested at all. My idea of roughing it is a hotel room with no Wi-Fi. There's no way I'm hanging out in the wilderness with you. Just not going to do it. Just don't. So I tend to think that friendships are a little overrated. That's just me, but I kind of feel like people, for me, I feel like people should have relationships with other human beings. Don't get me wrong. It's just difficult for me. This is a personal thing. For me, it's difficult to have these relationships with people and do small talk. Like, I can go hang out at a guy's house and watch the Super Bowl. Or I can even go over to a guy's house and watch a couple of playoff games. If we can hang out and do that and screaming, hollering at the TV, that's not holding. Oh, no, that was an interception. Things like that. I can do that all day. But immediately after the game is over, I will look at them, take one more chip, and dip it into the into the spinach dip and be out of there. And it's over for me. And probably never call that person until playoffs the next year. And be cool with that. I just called a good friend of mine, Chris, who I became very, very good friends. I almost feel like we were inseparable. When I first moved to Manchester, Chris and I, cool as hell. Army guy. At the time, he was working in aircraft maintenance. But I just called him yesterday. Out of the blue. The last time I talked to Chris, in fact, I can look on my phone right now. If you'll indulge me a minute, I looked on my phone. I'm going to look on my phone, and I'm going to look at my recent phone calls. Where's Chris's number? Chris. I can't even see where the heck his number was. I know I called him after the show. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, I called him, and according to my information, I haven't called Chris in years. His number's just sitting here. I haven't called him in years. In years. He's not even on my phone anymore. It's the last phone call I made. I haven't called him in years. And guess what's the beauty of hanging out with calling Chris out of the blue? He didn't bat an eye. I said, hey, Chris, what's going on? He was like, hey, man, how are you? He said, great. He said, hey, I listen to you on WTIC all the time. I'm like, oh, really? No. And he never thought to call me. Never said, hey, hey, how's the show going? You having fun? None of that stuff. I just called him out of blue. Hey, what you doing? Blah, 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 blah. We talked about Connecticut. We talked about a couple of areas in the region because he knows it real well. And he was answering some other questions that my wife had. And that was it. We just hung up the phone and just kept it moving. That's the kind of friend I like. That's the kind of friend that you don't talk to them for years, and then you get a reason to pick up the phone and give them a holler. You're like, hey, Bob, what's going on? Hey, Reese, what's up, buddy? Hey, man, what you been doing? This, that, and the third. And we don't even catch up. Not in like the gossip sense. Hey, where you going? Chris didn't even know where I lived. He was like, hey, where you at now? I was like, hey, where are you? That was it. Hey, congrats. I hear the kid's graduated from high school. Yeah, but he's bumming it now. I'm like, oh, really? No, can't try to motivate him? No, I can't motivate him. That was it. That was the extent of it. I never gave him any advice. I never told him to get a job. He just told me we were done. That's what a friendship is for me. So I don't know these people. I don't know these people who need friends. I think you should know your neighbors. I think you should be as cordial as you possibly can with the people who live in your community. You never know when the aliens are coming. And I mean the ones from outer space. You never know when the aliens are coming. You never know who you need to know who's got all the guns or all the gasoline or all the generators. Who's the one who's got the 25-year-old food? And you know what I mean, the ones that last for 25 years. You don't know who that is. Get to know your neighbors, If you have to, go in their garage. Be nosy. Look around. Okay, he's got a lawnmower and a generator. Oh, look at that, a chainsaw. You need to know that stuff. But that's the extent. You know that if there's an invasion of aliens, I mean the ones up in the space, you know exactly who to rely on. You know who's got the goods. But I don't know these people who do that. I just don't. I don't know these people who are just engaged. Now, women, different animal. Entirely. My wife is complaining about that often. I don't have any friends here. I don't know any women here. I've literally got to shove her. I have to shove her to meet people. Hi, this is my wife, Roseanne. She likes to talk to people, but she's shy. And now I literally have to move her over, and then I'll walk off and then sit by myself, which completely makes me a hypocrite, but I don't care. She's the one who wishes to get to know people. I've literally had to take my wife, I'm not kidding you, hold her by her shoulders, walk her over to women standing someplace and introduce her, even though I don't know them. Hi, ladies. How are you? What's your name? Amy. What's your name? Brenda. Hi, this is my wife, Roseanne. Talk to her. And then I walk away. I've literally done this. I wish I was exaggerating. I've literally done this. Because for some odd reason, women, they need that. They need to interact. So I know you do. So ladies, 5 o'clock focus. Men, 5 o'clock focus. Do you have friends? Do you need friends? Do you feel like you don't have enough friends? Would you like to make more friends? Are friendships important in any way? And how important should they be, in your opinion? I want to hear from you. Again, my point of view is they're very few and far between. I like them when I like them. And then when I don't like them anymore, I'd like to be able to go away and never be heard from for years and have no one complain about it. You know how some people get when you don't talk to them for a while and they're all like, where have you been? You don't even bother to call me. And I'm just like, isn't that a good thing? I don't call you about anything. I don't bother you. I don't inundate your life in any way. Isn't that a good thing? that I'm not bothering you? I thought you weren't bothering me. I really consider that a good thing. Like if a person does not bother me, they're doing me a favor. I like them more that they don't call. This is another great example. My brothers and I, Charles and Briggs, the second youngest to the very youngest. Charles is 4 years younger than me, and excuse me, my youngest brother Briggs is 12 years younger than me. And I would have to say that Briggs and I are closer than my brother Charles and I. But there was a time when Charles and I were the closest. I mean, we didn't even have Briggs at one time, but Charles and I were close as well. We're all cool. We love each other. They are the best brothers in the world, but we don't ever talk to each other. The boy was flying in from Virginia. No, he was flying out of West Point to come home, and he was making a stopover at LaGuardia Airport. I called my brother Charles, who lives in Long Island, and I said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? If I need you to, can I get you to LaGuardia to pick up the boy?" He never met my stepson. He was like, "Yeah, I'm there. Just tell me when the flight's landing." My other brother is in New Jersey. He was flying into Newark. "Yeah, what do you got? I'll be there." I hadn't called them in years. Those are the kind of friendships that I believe in. Those are great relationships. I never call you for anything. What did I cost him? I was going to cost them gas money at best. And if worse comes to worse, the boy would have had to spend the night on the couch. My brother didn't flinch. Why? Because I don't ask him for favors. I barely call him. My brother, on the other hand, he never calls me either. Never calls me for a favor. Hey, can you lend me $500? You know, it was the last time my brother ever asked me for money? It's over 20 years ago. I still have no idea how much I gave him. And I haven't asked for it back because it means nothing. But you have those other friends, those leeches, and you know who they are. I'm not saying any names, James Montgomery. I'm not saying any names. In the span of 30 years, I think this guy owes me the cost of a 1984 Buick. At least. Fair market value, by the way. This guy, I've always given him money. I've always paid his way. I can remember every dime I've ever given James Montgomery. Every dime. Not because I'm petty. Okay, maybe I'm a little petty. But you don't need friends like that. No one needs friends like that. A guy who's always in a jam, always needs help, always calling you because he has a problem. That's a leech. Michael B. said, those Dave Chappelle style crackhead friends. Indeed. Indeed. But friends can be a difficult thing. That's why I kind of stay away from them. And I'm in my head, I'm kind of like, do I have it? I could go through my phone right now. And I have to admit, there are not a lot of men that I call regularly. There just aren't. Vinny in Buffalo. Poor guy just got married a couple of months ago. He asked me to come to Buffalo to be there. Not a good friend. Sorry, buddy. Not that your wedding isn't important. It's a great event. It, of course, it's very important. But I would never, ever ask you to fly into my wedding. Never. I would have never picked up the phone and said, hey, I'm getting married on Valentine's Day. Come to Virginia for my wedding. I would have never said it. Would have never said it. It's just not in me. My wife asked me, in fact, on our wedding day, all of my friends who showed up were people who were in the region. My wife said, are you going to call your family to at least have them show up at the wedding? I went, no. She said, why not? I was like, why would I do that? We'll send them pictures. You don't want them to be there? No. What is something wrong? No. No. I'm good. I told my brother, hey, I got married. Oh, man, congratulations, man. Did you watch the game yesterday? I wasn't offended at all. I didn't feel bad. Oh, really? Who's your wife? My brother literally asked me, oh, what's her name? That's exactly it. Those friendships mean the world to me. Not a lot of hassle. Sharon says, sounds like a guy thing. I just think it's a good thing that your wife was once your friend and still is. Yeah, I kind of feel like that's the way she is. It's the only friend I need. Somebody said that your wife can't be your best friend. because there are some things that you can't tell, your wife that you can tell your best friend. I may be an anomaly here, but to be honest with you, I like the fact that I can tell her everything. I just try not to have any weird thing that I would be uncomfortable with her knowing. Like, I try to keep the weird stuff out of my life. I don't want to have to tell her some weird, like, dream or some fantasy that I would be embarrassed to ever know. Like, I'm pretty upfront with her. So I try not to be weird. I keep it very simple. If it ever gets to the point where I'm thinking weird things that I don't want her to know, then I'm in bigger trouble than I need to know. That's all I can say. So I try to keep it pretty, on point. That's all. But we'll focus on this in the 5 o'clock hour. 860-522-WTIC. 860-522-9842 in the 5 o'clock hour. Give me a call and let me know, do you have any weird sort of standards with your friends? Do you not have friends? All that good stuff. I want to get back. When we return after the break, all these people who keep telling us to not call Kamala Harris incompetent, I'd like to challenge that today. So we can't call black people incompetent. Well, what can we call black people? We'll investigate. It's Reese on the Radio, filling in for Todd Feinberg on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Ray testifying before Congress on the assassination attempt
I'm here.
of former President Trump.
I'm
As the shooter believed to have done a Google search on Lee assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Othello is announcing new destinations from Bradley Airport, Cancun, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Daytona Beach among the routes. And President Biden delivers an Oval Office address tonight. He is expected to speak about his decision to leave the presidential race. We'll have that here on WTIC News Talk 1080 beginning at 8. WTIC News Time 3:31. Here's Bob Larson with the forecast.
The cold front is moving very slowly this way for the Great Lakes region. In advance of that front, it will stay mostly cloudy and humid here for now through the better part of tomorrow. And there'll be a shower thunderstorm around from time to time. For the rest of today, mostly cloudy and muggy. A couple of widely separated showers and a stray thunderstorm, not expecting widespread rainfall. Today's high 81. Mostly cloudy and humid tonight with the thunderstorm at spots and a low of just 70. And more of the same tomorrow. Mostly cloudy and humid, and as that front moves in, there could be a thunderstorm around. Won't rain everywhere, but any storm could be heavy and gusty, high 84. And behind that front, it'll turn a little cooler and more comfortable tomorrow night, turning out partly cloudy with the low of 62. And we'll enjoy lower humidity on Friday. Mixture of clouds and sunshine. Friday's high 85. Friday night clear and comfortable, low 63. Heading into the weekend, good deal of sunshine on Saturday, very warm but not too humid, with a high temperature of 88, and similar weather on Sunday. This is meteorologist Bob Larson of the WTIC Weather Center.
I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
All right, you're just going to have to go straight back in, sir.
Right now?
Right now.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, we are back up. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. I guess we're not doing any live commercials. Greg, I really apologize, Greg. I did not know that the microphone was coming off into your ears. I was reading something that Mark in West Hartford had written me. My apologies again. So I was a little caught up in that. So I chuckled as he was giving his news, but I didn't know that he could hear me directly. So don't worry, that won't happen again. Kamala Harris is now the presumptive nominee, even though we haven't had a convention yet, at least for the Democrats. And since we're here, and we're at the point where the news media is all abuzz about Kamala Harris, why in God's name would people be upset about the things that they're calling her? And hear me out, folks. I said this over and over again. I'll say it one more time. If you hear the opposition or you hear any opposition of yours, no matter what the situation is, if you hear the opposition telling you what you can't say because it makes you look a certain way, it means you're being effective. What do I mean by that? If someone's saying don't use DEI because it's disrespectful, it's because it's working. Not just on the people you're conveying it to, the person who's complaining. You better stop using that DEI thing. Why? Because it's disrespectful. You mean it's affecting you. It's bothering you. Right? You give it credence if you always have to say, y'all better stop saying that. Or what? Because then y'all sound racist. Okay, fine. We sound racist. Tell everybody that we're racist for bringing it up. That's all we're giving you the weaponry. Tell everyone that me saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, tell everyone I'm a racist for calling her that. Right? And then it defeats me. It defeats my purpose in life. And if anything, it emboldens your stance. Look at those racists. You're pointing them out. Why would you tell me to stop doing it? If anything, you want more of it so you can expose me. Right? No, because they're being affected by it. And when Van Jones did it on CNN, it was hilarious. Only because, again, I let history be my guide.
Look, we're gonna have to learn how to talk to each other. There's certain things that there's a smart way and a dumb way to do anything. It's a very dumb way to, after 400 years of this mistreatment of black people and black women, to say you're incompetent. Maybe that makes sense to you in your world and you wouldn't take it that personally, but that has been the slur. That has been the core, that we are not worthy. We're not as smart. We're not as good. We can't do stuff. And so when you have someone who's overcome all of that again and again and again and again, and that's the word you pick, incompetent, I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to work as well for you as you think it. And what you're going to wind up doing is getting a lot of people who are not going to vote, who really did not care, who were sick of all of it. People are going to crawl through broken glass to vote against a party who says that about a black woman. Pick another word. Don't pick that one.
Pick another word. Don't pick that one. When you call a black woman incompetent, people are going to go above and beyond to support that black woman. Why didn't that happen for Clarence Thomas? Is he not black? The last I checked, Clarence Thomas is blacker than Kamala. Right? The last I checked. How about Larry Elder? Last I checked, Larry Elder is predominantly black. I think he's black in a way, I don't think we've been that black since Roots. I think, if anything, Larry Elder is Negro extraordinaire. How about Ben Carson? Ben Carson, born in Detroit. Huh? How about the late, great Godfather Pizza? Gosh, why am I forgetting his name? Mr. 999. Gosh, why am I forgetting his name now? He was literally at the tip of my tongue and I just escaped me. But you know who I'm talking about. What? Herman Cain. What about him? What about him? The man who is old enough to have eaten in the back of a restaurant in Georgia because of segregated dining halls. A man who's old enough to be made to sit in the back of a dining hall. What did they call him? Was anybody crawling over broken glass to vote for Herman Cain or Ben Carson? with the things that white folks called them? White folks on CNN called him? Disparaged those black people? Now, you know damn well that Kamala Harris is incompetent. You know damn well she is. Y'all kidding somebody if you think that we're supposed to fall for that nonsense. That young lady, for all it's worth, was not your first choice. She never was, she never will be your first choice. Now, how do I know that? Well, this one's easy, folks. This one's so easy, it's almost embarrassing. Let's go into recent history. February 2024. Anybody remember that far back? I know the kids, they think 2 weeks ago is back in the day. But the rest of us, we can remember February. 5 months ago. 5 months ago. Short time. Kristen Welker, Meet the Press, talking to Gavin Newsom?
Let's talk about you, Governor. Days after that special counsel report came out questioning the president's age and his memory, the Washington Post reported that anxious Democrats reached out to top Biden donors to ask, quote, when is Gavin getting in? Or how about Whitmer or Shapiro? The buzz has not stopped. I know you've been asked this before, but do you still rule out a run in 2024?
Where was Kamala on that list? What? Kristen Welker's a black woman. She didn't even mention Kamala. That conversation was about the Robert Hur report. And the Washington Post is talking about where's Gavin? Not where's Kamala, where's Gavin? Interesting. Let's see if we go back further in time. This one's a little further back. In fact, it's almost a year ago. About 10 months ago. Same network, different reporter, year before. Chuck Todd, Gavin Newsom.
Filing deadlines haven't passed. President Biden doesn't run. Why shouldn't we consider you a likely
Well, I
candidate?
think the vice president is naturally the one lined up, and the filing deadlines are quickly coming to pass. And I think we need to move past this notion that he's not going to run. President Biden is going to run.
Oops.
And looking forward to getting him reelected.
Oops.
I think there's been so much wallowing in the last few months and hand-wringing in this respect. But we're gearing up for the campaign. We're looking forward to it.
But you hear these calls privately. What do you tell these donors who are wallowing?
It's time to move on. Let's go.
And am I supposed to interpret that comment about the vice president that if for some reason the president chose not to run at this point,
Well, that's the
everybody rallies around her?
It's the Biden-Harris administration. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned about presidents and vice presidents. I was a lieutenant governor.
I don't hear any enthusiasm here for Kamala Harris. It's all about Gavin. What are they talking about? Now let's go back. This one's beyond a year. June of 2023. This is 13 months ago. But let's move it away from the liberal side of news. Let's go to Fox News. Sean Hannity, Gavin Newsom.
Do you think he's cognitively strong enough to be president?
I have conversations with him all the time, yes. And I'll tell you what.
You do?
I'm dead serious about that. I've talked to him when he's been overseas. I've been in Air Force One, Marine One. I've been in the limo with him. I've spent time with him
Okay, but
privately.
you never answered my question directly. How many times does your phone ping a day, people saying you need to get in this race because they agree with me that he's not up to the job?
I see where you're going. I see where you're going with that.
I'm asking.
No, I'm not.
So, who thought Kamala Harris was incompetent? Was it us? None of you even considered her a year ago. When the conversation was on the uptick about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities, it was Gavin. All day, every day. Who are you kidding? So when I hear all of this stuff about, whoa, she's got quite the momentum. Yeah, okay. Okay. This is all an illusion, folks. This is Wizard of Oz stuff. And it's done right in front of you. And you all know it's happening. And you're letting the power of the boob tube literally turn the rest of us into boobs. We're not that dumb. This is all nonsense. All of it is. They don't want her to be a candidate. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm still on Obama watch. Okay? I am on Obama watch 2024. That's where all of us need to be, on Obama watch. Where's the endorsement, Barack Obama? Where's the endorsement, Michelle Obama? Malia, Sasha, any Obama. Can we get any Obama? How about his brother Obama in Africa? Just one Obama. Can we get one Obama to support this woman? Open and honestly. Where are the Obamas? I am on Obama watch. That's the only endorsement I'm concerned with. And until he joins ranks, there's nothing serious here. Nothing. So what's the holdup, Obama? Let's go to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to Matt in Bristol. Hello, Matt. You're on Reese On The Radio.
Hey, Reese. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, sir.
The prognosticator in chief.
Thank you, sir.
So, you know, you're going through a list of black men, but what about Candace Owens?
I was going to go there. That's my next monologue.
I'll beat you to it.
No, it's okay. That's all right. But yeah, you're 100%. Candace Owens, Condoleezza Rice. You know, these Carolyn Swan, I'm sorry. There are plenty of black women on the conservative side that have gotten the same treatment that Kamala Harris is getting, and no one batted an eye. Ever batted an eye. So this is tantamount to exactly what, you know, these liberals are talking about. They're always saying it's like, you can't call, in essence, all they're saying is you can't call a liberal black woman these things. But let me go one step further, Matt. Let me go one step further. Here's Representative Judy Chu. You know what else you can't call Kamala Harris? A liberal.
In terms of the candidacy of Vice President Harris, we've seen over the last 24 hours a line of attack coming from Republicans calling her a San Francisco liberal.
She is an American who stood up for the needs of Americans.
Why are they running from being a liberal? I thought being a liberal was a good thing. Now they're running from that. They're running from DEI. They ran from CRT. Now they're running from liberal. These are their terms. They're running. They don't want to even be identified. In a world full of identifiers, the liberals don't want to be identified for anything.
Well, that shocks me because I thought liberal to them was a good term.
Exactly.
I know. But actually, everything else you brought up, especially what you just said about this is going to be your next segment, it has my next point. I swear to God, every time you bring up something personal, I swear to God, you're like a family member, like a brother from another mother. I mean.
Are you assuming you're talking about the friendship thing?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I want friends that if I don't speak to them in 2 decades, they call me up and be like, hey, what's going on? Like nothing happened.
Nothing happened. That is such a, you know what? Again, I thought I was alone in that. My wife gives me a hard time about that. But I feel like a lot of people, I think that's a male thing. I think Sharon was right. That may be a guy thing, or at least a real guy thing. You know, like maybe our generation, Gen Xers, may be those kind of guys. Because I was even like that when I was in high school. You would go, you know, not see your friends for a little while and then run into them. It's like, hey, man, a long time no see. And you just hang out like you were just there yesterday.
That's the way it's supposed to be. But I do need to check myself because I think I Facebook message you way too much. So I do.
I love it, Matt. Thank you. It lets me know that I have at least some friends on Facebook. Much appreciated. Let me get to Rudy in Florida. Hello, Rudy. What's going on, big guy? Rudy, you still there?
We think.
Hey, what's up?
I'm here. The only thing I've ever seen someone with black skin not be able to do is quarterback. Just throwing that out.
What the hell? Wait, whoa. Come on, Doug Williams. How about Steve McNair? Come on, McNair? No, he was a bad.
Young.
What's that?
Steve Young, Tom Brady. Even Mahomes has a white mother. But, hey, this is the way I look at it. And I'm going to get into Carmella, but this is the way I look at it. Where were you born?
Born in Hollis, Queens.
You're American. I was born. I'm American. You're an American. I'm American. You bleed red. I bleed red.
Yep.
My ancestors came from Poland and Sicily, but I'm American.
Right. I hear you.
Frank's Italian. Frank might have moved to America and made a life here, but Frank's Italian. So I look at it this way: we're all Americans, despite what the color of our skin is. But Kamala Harris, this has to be a nightmare for like a American.
What do you mean?
She's terrible. She's a DEI candidate, and they're denying that. She's the border. Chris Murphy has gone on all day long saying she wasn't a DEI candidate. She is not the border czar. I just had to post that video where Biden's in a mask and Harris is in a mask like 3.5 years ago.
Yes.
I'm putting her in charge of the border.
Yeah.
And she's going to go work with Central American countries and see if we could do something to help them so they don't have to flee to the United States.
Yep.
She's in charge of the border.
Well,
Murphy's saying she was never in charge of the border.
Well, this is the great part. You know what? Why don't you tweet Gavin Newsom this? Because you're on X or Twitter for that matter a lot, Rudy. Axios. Go to Marjorie Taylor Greene's X account.
Oh, I saw it.
You saw it, right? So they're putting Stephanie.
Interviewed him.
Yeah, they're putting Stephanie Wright's business in the street, as they should, because she was the one who reported back in March of 2021 in her artitle that Kamala Harris was the border czar. And then she says,
she's not even. She's not even black. Her dad was Jamaican. Her mom's Indian. She was born in California. She grew up in Montreal. She incarcerated. She joked about how many black males she incarcerated,
and joked about how many black parents she was going to put in jail because of black kids' truancy.
And she married a white Jewish man, and she doesn't even support Israel. I mean, it's sad Netanyahu is there today speaking while a war's going on in his country. Yep. And not one Democrat showed up there, except for, I bet you, the squad is outside because it's surrounded by Palestinian supporters who they came in chartered buses and got unloaded at that speech. Who's paying for that?
Exactly. Probably one of her biggest supporters, Alex Soros.
The only thing Kamala Harris has ever been good at is dividing this country by the color of our skins, turning Americans and Americans. She backed Antifa burning down and Black Lives Matter burning down Portland and Seattle and posted a bail fund for them. So
how about this one? This is what I find, and this is what I find incredible about all of this is that people are talking about Kamala Harris as a sort of separate candidate. Today, I am referring to Kamala Harris as the bath fitter candidate. Because the only
didn't
thing
want her last time, 1%.
She is nothing more than Joe Biden in a pantsuit. She is the bath fitter candidate because she's just a new bathroom on an old tub. That's all she is.
Find the Tulsi. Do you have the Tulsi Gabbard clip in the debate where she actually dropped out after that debate where she shut her down?
Shut her down. Destroyed her.
Oh, you got to play that. You got to find that.
I know exactly where it is, and I will definitely play it. I'll definitely play it.
Trump needs to use that on his campaign.
You know what? In fact, I would send Tulsi Gabbard on the stump anywhere I went to have her, as they like to use now, prosecute Kamala Harris for what she did to black men in California, and let Tulsi Gabbard deliver it. Don't even put J.D. Vance out there. Don't put Trump out there. Have Tulsi Gabbard prime time reintroduce that to the American public on exactly who she is.
Here's a zinger, though. I would feel safer if Nancy Pelosi was running the country than Kamala Harris.
Damn.
And Nancy Pelosi, people keep saying this, is not Gavin Newsom's aunt because her husband's sister is married to one of Newsom's parents or something like that.
Okay, so it's like through marriage. It's like a It's okay.
So Mr. Pelosi's sister married, sister or brother married one of Newsom's parents for their second marriage.
Gotcha.
So it's the whole thing's through marriage. But I mean, they run into.
Listen to me. It's politics. It's incestuous. Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, and you know how Democrats are. They'll sleep with anything.
That's true. Absolutely. Thank you, boss man.
Disgusting group. Yep.
It's a little sick. Let's go to George in St. Louis. George, how are you, sir?
Hi, Reese. I caught that Netanyahu speech. It was inspiring. He talked about how Hamas brutally murdered Israelis, and it's all over freedom, and they're struggling. Also, Iran's threats against both Israel and the United States. This should have been required attendance by
politicians, or at least
by
the House
Harris,
and Senate. Yeah.
And those 30 some odd Democrats and that refused to attend.
You know what's the crazy part, George? Let me tell you the crazy part about that is that these Democrats, even anyone who didn't show up, that they don't understand that shunning Netanyahu in such a public way does them no good. You know, Netanyahu's going to show up no matter who is in that pew. He does not care. He is there to resonate a message about what Israel is going through. So he's a class act. He's not going to chastise them in the way in which they go after him. That's beneath him. It's never been his style. But it does not serve people to not show up to that speech. It doesn't.
Reese, those 30 Democrats and Harris for missing this should be taken out to the woodshed until they can't sit for a week.
But you know what? Look, it's okay. People saw that. Again, while they're concerned about this radical anti-Israel leftist screaming mob at the college campuses, while they're concerned about that vote, which they've already lost, they are really, really harming themselves with the most important voter, people who do show up at the polls. Young people are not showing up at the polls this year. They're just not. There's no interest in it. And they think Kamala Harris is going to resonate with them, or at least motivate them to get to the polling place. Those kids are not interested in identity politics unless it is pro-Palestine, anti-Israel. And unless she resonates that, they're not going to care.
Well, don't talk about Hitler without talking about Palestine, without talking about Iran, and without talking about those 30 Democrats along with Harris that align themselves with this rotten group.
You know what I also find interesting, George? Remember, these young people are like the young people of my generation and maybe even yours. The young people were very anti-war. I mean, World War II notwithstanding. World War II is the exception. In World War II, everybody was gung-ho about the war. Everybody chipped in. They understood the importance of rallying behind their troops. But Vietnam and the Korean War did not have that same effect. And, of course, within that era, we had many, many young people who were opposed to war. This was also the case in Iran. It wasn't so much in Afghanistan, but Iran, that was definitely the case. We saw that same sentiment out of the Vietnam War with young people at the Iraq War. And that was the case. So today, more young people are anti-war because they know, of course, the result of said war is death. So these young people are have more vigor to point that out. When they know that Donald Trump is the guy that's going to stop that, they actually side with that guy, weirdly enough. Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Hey, Mark.
Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, if you're heading in toward Hartford, issues as
Mostly cloudy and humid tonight with the thunderstorm at spots and a low of just 70. And more of the same tomorrow. Mostly cloudy and humid. And as that front moves in, there could be a thunderstorm around. Won't rain everywhere, but any storm could be heavy and gusty, high 84. And behind that front, it'll turn a little cooler and more comfortable tomorrow night, turning out partly cloudy with the low of 62. And we'll enjoy lower humidity on Friday. Mixture of clouds and sunshine. Friday's high 85. Friday night clear and comfortable, low 63. Heading into the weekend, good deal of sunshine on Saturday, very warm but not too humid, with a high temperature of 88 and similar weather on Sunday. This is meteorologist Bob Larson of the WTIC Weather Center.
There's a lot happening in Washington and in your local neighborhood. Follow WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey app to keep up with the latest. WTIC is 99 and kicks off a year-long celebration to 100 years on the air. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
It's 4 o'clock at afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. Body of a woman found in Burlington today, according to state police. The body is that of Linda Kosuda Begazi. She was pleaded guilty to manslaughter in connection with the death of her husband, UConn professor Pierluigi Begazi, 7 years ago. The case made headlines because the defendant allegedly cashed paychecks from the husband to the husband that was deposited into their joint account for several months after he died. She was awaiting sentencing in that case. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed Congress today.
CBS News special report. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just wrapped a marathon joint meeting with Congress where he compared its war with Hamas to terror attacks here in the U.S.
Like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001, October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy.
The speech didn't go over too well with people watching in Israel. CBS's Deborah Patta reports from Tel Aviv.
There were moments when protesters booed Netanyahu as he was speaking because there is just so much frustration.
Protesters and some Democrats slammed the speech here in Washington. New York's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Be invited for a joint address of Congress is one of the highest honors that we have in the United States. And I don't think that this is an appropriate time or an appropriate moment for this to happen.
CBS News special report. I'm Monica Ricks.
A 2-year-old boy is recovering after he was shot last night in the town of Monroe. Police there say the toddler was shot in the foot and in the hand. His mother attempted to take him to the hospital, attempted to drive him to the hospital, after which she called 911. The boy transported to Bridgeport Hospital, then taken to Yale, New Haven. Injuries said to be non-life-threatening. Family, friends, and colleagues turned out today to remember the late former Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman. The 82-year-old died last March after taking a fall in his home. Among those on hand, former Vice President Al Gore, who tapped Lieberman as his running mate in the 2000 election, making him the first Jewish candidate on a major party presidential ticket.
I knew him when he was Attorney General of Connecticut. And then, of course, we became colleagues and allies and very, very close friends in the Senate. We shared views on many issues: the climate crisis, women's rights, gay and lesbian rights, human rights.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, on his official visit to the U.S., also spoke at the memorial, calling Lieberman a patriot and a proud Jew who always had Israel's back, especially during trying times. And President Biden addresses the nation tonight from the Oval Office.
His anticipated meeting tomorrow with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, which frankly is the kind of meeting or event he's likely going to be focused a lot more on in the closing months of his presidency. Foreign policy and how to get those American hostages home and end that war, deal with the war in Ukraine, deal with threats from China and Iran, likely to be a big part of what he'll be focused on in the coming months.
Correspondent Ed O'Keefe, WTIC News Talk 1080, will air the president's remarks tonight beginning at 8. Bloodbath on Wall Street today. The Dow dropped 504 points. The NASDAQ cratered 654 points. The NASDAQ was down 128. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com, which we're at right now. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sun...
1 minute.
Other safety measures are key to protecting your
Good to
skin
go.
from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equals healthy fun in the sun.
Yeah, and 10, you just got music.
FDA.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Some odd reason that's not coming over. There we go. Let me fix that. It's Reese on the Radio. News Talk 1080 WTIC, filling in for Todd Feinberg. Robert says, Gruesome Newsom, or as I refer to him as Knows Nothing, gives used car dealers a bad name. I'm not, what's my view on this? I know Gavin Newsom is 2028 bound, no matter what. That's exactly what he is interested in. And I know that Barack Obama wants to be the person that anoints him. That's why I know he's hedging. That's why he's waiting. He hasn't endorsed Kamala Harris. I'm on Obama watch. I'm on Obama watch until somebody, just anyone with the last name Obama, endorses Kamala Harris. I don't care who it is. Malia and Sasha can say it too. Just any one of them support Kamala Harris, but they're being awfully quiet. Awfully quiet. And I find that odd. I'm very suspicious of that. And I don't know what the process is going to be like. Let's say if Kamala Harris does actually win the nomination, which it's quite possible. She could win it all. She could win it all. I'm going to stay on Obama watch. No matter what happens. That's all I care about. That's the official ticker for the Obama watch. Until they say, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. Michael A. in the house as well. Scallywag showing up. I love it. Don't forget also, good point. Tonight, immediately after Joe Biden's remarks, President Joe Biden's remarks, ReeseOnTheRadio.com, I will be giving my analysis of the speech with sound bites and anything that I find odd, because trust me, I will be parsing this speech with precision, pointing all that out. Speaking of precision, the man getting you home this evening does it with precision is none other than Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, if you're heading toward Hartford, southbound 91, delays 33 down to 32 A and B. Looks real good northbound 91, no problems. Cromwell up into Winter. Westbound 84 is tied up approaching the Bulkley Bridge up to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound, you got delays about a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue up to 48 Capitol Avenue. 291, 384, no issues. 2 eastbounds, okay. Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound slowing. 22 up to the Aragoni Bridge in Middletown. 84 westbound, a little slow in Waterbury as you approach the Mixmaster. If you're heading in toward New Haven right now, 95 southbound, you got slow traffic from 46 down to exit 44. And heading in the southeastern part of the state, 95 northbound, got delays 72 up to between 74 and 75 in East Lyme. The left lane shut down there with a crash. Stay right. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Well, we are going to see considerable clouds for the rest of this afternoon. It's going to be rather humid out there with widely separated thunderstorms. We'll head up to a high of around 81 degrees and plenty of clouds around tonight. Still humid with a thunderstorm in a couple spots. The low tonight down to 70, then mainly cloudy and still humid out there tomorrow with a thunder shower in parts of the area. Well, the high tomorrow up to 84, partly cloudy skies tomorrow night, low down to 62, then turning out less humid as we head into Friday. We'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine. Overall, a beautiful day Friday with a high of 85, then Saturday turns out mostly sunny and warmer with a high temperature up to 87. Right now it's 77 degrees in Plainville, 72 in Tolland, and 77 in Hartford. This is meteorologist Isaac Longley at the WTIC Weather Center.
I've been driving trucks for a long time. Safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Need good tech advice?
Must be a computer error.
Tune into the Gold.com award-winning Computer Talk with Tab. Saturday mornings 9 to 11 on WTIC News Talk 1080. Eric Semmel and Dennis Howland of Tab Computer Systems will keep you updated with tech news you can use and answer your technology questions live on the air. Miss a program? Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and tune in from anywhere via the Odyssey app. Computer Talk with Tab, Saturday mornings on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Baseball season is well underway, and so is the Fan Base podcast. That's right, a baseball-only podcast. Started off as Yankees, Red Sox, but we talk about everything. John Senecal, Brian Shackman, that's me. Of course, you can listen to me Monday through Friday on Brian and Company, 5:30 to 9, but the podcast drops just about every week, and we talk about all things baseball. I try to find something to feel good about with the Red Sox, and John tries to avoid gloating because the Yankees are way better. Again, it's Fan Base, a deep dive into the greatest rivalry in sports.
Who do I wrestle for? I wrestle on my high school team for Jay.
Whoa, a minute. Okay.
My fiercest competitor during practice and my biggest fan during meets. I wrestle for my parents who practice what they preach. The importance of hard work, commitment, and dedication. I wrestle for the chance to put our little high school right here in Connecticut on the map.
Wearing the uniform of your high school comes with a big responsibility. Younger kids look up to you. Your teammates count on you. And the reputation of your high school depends on you. Do you have what it takes to participate in a high school sport?
And I wrestle for the line when I do my best. That's who I wrestle for.
This message presented by the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference and the Connecticut Association of Athletic Directors.
Yeah. It's Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Oh, Tupac there. Back to the phones we go. 860-522-WTIC. Rick is in Cheshire. Hello, Rick. You over Reese on the Radio.
Hey, my buddy. I am on Obama watch as well. FYI, just so you know. 100,
Okay.
100%. Yeah, that's everybody should be. But the reason I called was even more than 2 months ago, I had Joe Biden. Let's say I had the Democrat person running for president getting south of 60 million votes. And
Yes.
the reason I did was because of the African-American shift, plus the state of the country, plus the stay-home vote. The people that just were not going to participate because of who the Republican candidate was.
I think you and I are on the same
that-
page, Rick. I think you and I, you said south of 60, right?
Yeah, south of 60. That's where I had Biden coming in, south of 60, and those are the reasons. We actually talked about it, and we were pretty much in line with that.
Right.
I don't know if you were south of 60, but those are the reasons for the math.
Right.
But I think now, just by putting Kamala in that spot, that takes away some of that raises that number of the Democrat.
You think so?
That's going to be running. I do. And the reason that I do is I think that, at least right now, that the people that were going to stay home, that number is lessened. I think that some of them are interested now in participating.
Okay.
As long as, and I think that the African American vote will stabilize. I don't think it's going to keep growing now.
Okay.
I think that African American men are still going to be stronger
for Trump
than they were last time.
I agree.
But I think that the African American women are going to participate at a higher level now.
That is true.
So
and
I think that
she'll rely on that more than she will suburban white women, which will hurt her.
For sure. Right. Well, for sure. Yes, because there's just the sheer numbers of that.
Right.
But what I'm afraid of, because Trump has a really good opportunity, but I don't want him to rely on his instincts as if he's talking to the MAGA portion of the electorate.
Understood.
He's great at that. And yeah, we get it. We all got it. Everyone gets it. But this is time to run for president.
Right.
And if he fights and goes after her personally, any Willie Brown stuff, any like her cackling laugh, that's going to hurt him with the sensitive, persuadable voter. If you're persuadable, then to me, you're sensitive. So I really would like him to just try and tie her as best he can to Joe Biden and the regime. He just needs to tie her to that. Everything that Joe's done, she has applauded. She stands behind. She 100% endorses. She says it's one of the greatest, 4 years. He needs to continue to tie her to that rather than go after the low-hanging fruit, which is the Willie Brown garbage. And so I hope that his handlers keep him from doing that, because then those people that are quite possibly we're not going to participate, maybe they still won't participate.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You're 100% right on the optics here, because again, as I said over and over again, politics are always about optics, and I think that happened well into the 2000s during the Bush administration. You remember when we first got that terminology, I'd like to have a beer with him, or somebody I can have a beer with.
Oh, yeah.
That became very popular. Yeah. In fact, Obama's whole presidency was, I think, Rush Limbaugh referred to him as President Kardashian famously, because he was idealistic without substance. I remember a conversation with Charlie Rose and Tom Brokaw on the CBS that CBS show that Charlie Rose had, where they were both talking about how great Obama was, but they had no reference to what kind of books he read and what kind of people that he was inspired by. So they knew nothing about him. All they knew was that this guy had a great crease in his pants. That was what was it? Isikoff that wrote an article that was talking about how serene he was based upon the crease in his pants. So there was a lot of substance. You're right. When Donald Trump is talking about Kamala Harris, it must strictly be on substance. It can't be that other stuff that plays into the, he's mocking her relationships, her looks, or her laugh. And I think you're spot on there.
Yeah, because it won't help him. It'll only hurt him. There's just no reason to get the base fired up anymore. He's locked in all of that. He needs to try and win an election.
Yeah,
and winning that election.
And I think he needs to play into the fact that, look, if Kamala Harris on her record has hurt black families in California, and she sought after hurting black families as a prosecutor. People keep saying that, it's the prosecutor versus the felon. And I make the argument that says, in what world does Kamala Harris as a prosecutor come off as the good guy? Because where we come from, the prosecutor is always deemed the bad guy. It's the person on trial who many people, from Al Capone, to O.J. Simpson, people, especially in the inner city, were rooting for the defendant, not the prosecutor.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yeah. And her record as a prosecutor is god awful. But she's also, if you want to talk about prosecution, she's also the person that wanted to defund the police. She also set up all those bail donations for all the people from the Summer of Love.
That's right.
So so you can answer that. I would be easy rebuts to that, but just hopefully not. Just staying with that and tying her as close as you can to Biden.
That's right.
And
I would call her. I would still call her the bath fitter candidate, though.
No, that's fine. I mean, give it a name. Yeah, it's Joe Biden 2.0.
Yeah.
Kamala Biden, whatever that is. That's fine. Just as long as it's because you can just ask her. Tell at what point, at what part of any of the decisions that in the past 3.5 years.
That's right.
Do you look back on that you could have handled differently?
And you know what? You can use her stump speeches right now against her because the only thing in her stump speech that she's talking about is Joe Biden's record, the one that got him an approval rating of 38%.
Yeah, it was a debate. It was a debate.
Yeah.
I mean, like that. Yeah. I mean,
exactly. Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate it. Let's go to Christine in Middletown. Hello, Christine.
Hi, Reese. When you mentioned late Herman Cain, you know what? You remember he was gaining steam in the months leading up to the Republican, and the 999 plan caught on.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who got scared? It was the mainstream media because they knew he could win the Republican candidacy.
Yep.
And he would have put the woodwork to Barack Obama, and they had to go dig up stuff to eliminate him from the race.
That was, you know what? That's so true. I totally forgot about that. It was the accusations about the woman that used to work with him that completely derailed and it embarrassed his poor wife. That was the most insulting thing about all of that, the way they treated Herman Cain.
Exactly, and they knew he would beat Barack Obama.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The argument that I made about Herman Cain was, and I made this to African Americans all over radio. I said, you guys are talking about Barack Obama being the first black president, but if if lineage or sort of like background makes any sense in all of the who's truly black argument, Herman Cain, again, as I mentioned, ate in the back of a dining hall, because they had segregated places to sit, where Barack Obama was going to Occidental, Harvard, and Columbia University, raised by white parents and white grandparents. And I'm like, and Herman Cain is treated like an unauthentic African American? How despicable are you?
And yet we're the bad people for saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. And to your point, Reese, we can't put this in the books because the Don hasn't given his stamp of approval yet. Of course, that the Don is Barack Obama.
That's okay. Tonight, I'm actually going to talk about Barack Obama. I've got an advanced team of people who are going everywhere to find out where the Barack Obama endorsement is. So make sure you check me out tonight after the Biden speech, okay? Thank you, Christine. Let's go to Mike, who's in Florida. Hey, White Mike in Florida. What's up, Mike?
Oh, God dang, dude. It's about time. I expect VIP treatment.
You know what? You sound like somebody I was just debating with sooner. I apologize, but I'll get to you when I can, and I've got you last. So what's up, White Mike?
Oh, man, so much has gone on since I've been listening to you on hold. But,
okay.
I'm a right-leaning person, you would say, right?
Yeah,
I
of
definitely
course.
lean right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't think I'm a conservative. I'm more a fascist in my heart. I think representative democracy is a failure.
You think you can't say that and then move on to the next line. Representative republic is a failure?
Representative democracy is a failure because a representative democracy is only as good as the pool of voters.
Okay, fair enough. And you think the voters are the problem?
Have you not seen Congress?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Okay, all right, fair argument.
So there's that. But I don't agree with the Republicans on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I have my disagreements with them on drug policy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's idiocy that they are not lining up to federally legalize marijuana and just take that whole debacle off the table because there's no downside to legalizing marijuana. I don't agree with them on abortion because I think they go too far. I think there's a middle ground that can be had that's going to make most people happy.
Okay.
And I'm tired of being told that one of the tenets of my party and my philosophy is supporting Israel.
Okay.
Now, my gripe with Israel is Israel plays the victim. They've been milking the Holocaust.
Whoa.
for 85
Wait.
years.
Before you go into the rails, remember I have a network of support here. Give me a second. On the listen, you can't make that. You have to make a fair argument here on that victim thing, because for what can be said, from what can be said about playing the victim from Israel's point of view, I'll admit that. I mean, you have to admit there is a little bit of legitimacy to victimhood. However, Hamas, on the other hand, puts themselves and their citizens, as it were, in harm's way and use the victimhood, which is played directly into the news media, that they are the victims even after they've committed an atrocity. Isn't that fair?
The most logical parallel for the Israel-Palestine situation is American colonists and the Native Americans. It's the exact same situation.
Talk to me about, because you're going to have to make that correlation, because if you're suggesting in this case that Israel are the American colonists and Palestinians are the natives?
Absolutely.
How?
The Native Americans, that whole thing that the Israelis claimed, a people without land for a land without people. No, there were people there. The Israelis conquered this land, just like the Americans.
Wait, but how long before?
America.
Wait. How long before Palestinians, or, pardon the expression, but the Palestinian term comes from Caesar, what the so-called Palestinians or Palestinian people, as it were, how far before are we talking here when you said that Israel conquered that land? I'm sure it was far before even the advent of Islam.
No. 1945.
Oh, come on, Mike. We're not going to have this argument. You can't sit up here and tell me. No, hold on.
Sure, we are.
You can't listen.
It took us 400 years to pacify the Indians.
No. Again,
the Israelis have been at this for 85 years.
White Mike, hold on.
It's the same
If
situation.
you are going to use, first of all, you're using 1945. This region has been around for thousands of years, and Jews were there far. In fact, Judaism. Hold on, Judaism is as far as history is concerned, is twice the length in existence than Islam. Twice the length.
And the Jews who were there are not the Jews who are there now.
It doesn't matter. Come on, that's ridiculous. Hold on. That's like saying the natives who are here today.
It's not ridiculous.
How about this one, Mike? Let me stop you here because I'm going to tell you where this has gone off the rails. It almost lends itself to the argument, right? Why African Americans claim reparations, right? In essence, they're saying that the lineage of slavery means that those people who are alive today, in some way, have a debt owed to them because of their ancestry in the country. If you're making that argument with 1945, if you're making that argument with the natives and the colonists, you're almost suggesting that a people who did not suffer something have a claim for not because I know you personally, so I know that you have a different view on that when it comes to things like reparations, but yet you have this view when it comes to Israel.
It's different. The Israelis who lived in Europe.
Okay, hold on. In fact, wait, because I know I'm going to have to get I just realized what the time was. I got to get to PBS Traffic Center. You always do this to me, Mike. Why? Why do you do this to me? You know I can't have this discussion with you here. I got commercial breaks, and I got to get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, if you're heading into Hartford right now, we're seeing typical delays, 91 southbound, 33 to 32. Another little bump down by exit 28. 91 northbound looks good. Cromwell up into Windsor. Westbound 84, a little slow now in East Hartford, approaching the Bulky Bridge to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound delays, 44 up to 48 Capitol Avenue. 291, 384, that looks good east of the river. 2 eastbound's okay, Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound slowing Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 84 westbound Waterbury a little tight, 22 into the Mixmaster. 95 southbound New Haven slowing 46 to 44. A little slow in East Lyme now as you move from 72 up to exit 74 on the northbound side of 95 in East Lyme. Earlier accident there has been cleared and the delays will ease out quickly now too. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Cold front is moving very slowly this way for the Great Lakes region. In advance of that front, it will stay mostly cloudy and humid here for now through the better part of tomorrow. And there'll be a shower thunderstorm around from time to time. For the rest of today, mostly cloudy and muggy. A couple of widely separated showers and a stray thunderstorm, not expecting widespread rainfall. Today's high 81. Mostly cloudy and humid tonight with the thunderstorm at spots and a low of just 70. And more of the same tomorrow. Mostly cloudy and humid, and as that front moves in, there could be a thunderstorm around. Won't rain everywhere, but any storm could be heavy and gusty, high 84. And behind that front, it'll turn a little cooler and more comfortable tomorrow night, turning out partly cloudy with the low of 62. And we'll enjoy lower humidity on Friday. Mixture of clouds and sunshine. Friday's high 85. Friday night clear and comfortable, low 63. Heading into the weekend, good deal of sunshine on Saturday, very warm but not too humid, with a high temperature of 88, and similar weather on Sunday. This is meteorologist Bob Larson of the WTIC Weather Center.
All the audio that matters to you is on Odyssey. Odyssey has news that hits home in your local area and around the country. Get local news, traffic, and weather from stations near you. Get national news from CNN, Fox News Radio, and more. And explore the biggest news podcasts like The Daily Punch, Pod Save America, and The Daily, AUDACY. Find all the news that matters to you in a universe of audio. Odyssey.
And now, a WTIC news update.
4:30, good afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. The WTIC temperature is 74 degrees. State police say a body was found in a home in Burlington that belonged to a woman awaiting sentencing in the death of her husband years ago. Troopers say the female, identified as Linda Bagazi, who was 76, she pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the death of her husband, who was a UConn professor. President Biden addresses the nation tonight. Speech from the Oval Office. He is expected to talk about his decision to leave the presidential race. We'll have it here beginning at 8. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed Congress today, among other things, imploring the U.S. for continued support in the fight against Hamas. Police in Monroe say a 2-year-old child was shot in the hand and foot last night. His injuries are non-life-threatening, and he's currently being treated at Yale New Haven Hospital. Numerous state leaders, Governor Lamont, Hartford Mayor Aruna Narayampalam, among others, on hand today to announce 7 new destinations from Avelo Airlines out of Bradley International Airport. Wall Street, the Dow finished down 504 points today. The NASDAQ lost 654, and the NASDAQ was down 128. Red Sox getting hammered in Colorado, 8-2 right now. Bottom of the third. There was a benches clearing brawl earlier in that game. Mets and Yankees finish up the Subway Series tonight at the stadium. Eastern League, Yard Goats host Harrisburg at Duncan Park, 7:10 on the Odyssey app. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Do you know a veteran in need? After leaving the military, many veterans struggle to find their way home. Because to a veteran, home isn't just a place, it's an idea, a feeling. Nation's Finest understands the challenges veterans face. Through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, we help veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada. For more than 50 years, we've helped thousands of veterans in these communities build happy, healthy, and purposeful lives. And our team is committed to supporting those who've served and their families for another 50. To get help, visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach. Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum
in 10.
In the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Woo. Reese on the radio. Filling in for Todd Feinberg, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Don't forget Friday, the airing of grievances. Right here on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
That drop went perfect. That was fire.
You'll call in and air your grievance. Sort of an open line Friday, airing of grievances on News Talk 1080 WTIC, 860-522 WTIC, 860-522-9842. Again, like I said, go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com tonight after the President Biden's speech to talk about why he dropped out of the race. I don't know what to expect. I think we'll get a preview of the speech like right before. It's usually leaked or at least given to the press immediately after. If I get a hold of it, I will grab it to find out what all of this speech is about. Many people are predicting, is he going to drop out? I don't think so. I think he will respond to questions about whether or not he's unfit. Well, about the fact that he's unfit to, if he's unfit to stay in the race, is he unfit to lead? And I think he'll be addressing that. To be honest with you, I am not enthusiastic for the president to stumble throughout his speech. In no way am I enthusiastic for this. And I think a lot of people feel or agree with me in all of this. Hear me out. This sort of put some brevity in this. There used to be a television show that'd come on late night after Saturday Night Live called Showtime at the Apollo. I'm sure a lot of you remember it if you watched Saturday Night Live back in the 90s.
Can you feel the heat?
Yeah.
Showtime.
So I would watch Showtime at the Apollo, and of course they'd have a musical guest out there to perform, and then it, of course, was the world famous amateur night. And someone would get out there and sing, and it was awful for people who could not sing, and the objective was to boo, and then you get pretty much, danced off by Sandman Sims. And, C.P. Lacey took over for Sandman Sims, a good friend of mine, C.P. Lacey. I used to perform when he was a street performer in Washington Square Park, and I used to perform with him for years. And he, anyway, so watching, anytime someone would come on at Showtime at the Apollo and the singing was awful, I would turn the channel because I could not watch their embarrassing moment. That's not me on stage. I don't even know that person. But if somebody was doing something embarrassing, it was like watching a train wreck. And I was like, oh, turn channel. So I was like, I can't watch that. I just did that all the time. I would do it. I just couldn't do it. And my wife at the time was just like, what's wrong with you? I'm just like, watching someone perform badly is uncomfortable for me. So seeing Joe Biden go up, give this Oval Office address with what we've seen so far, knowing that he's getting older every hour of the day, and his age is progressing at a rate, I wouldn't say unfounded, but it's progressive. We've seen it. I got to watch this. I can't turn away. I have to watch every bit of it. And I'm just going to be cringy. Again, what I feel about Joe Biden means nothing. It's not comfortable to watch an elderly man embarrass himself. It's just not something I want to see. It's just, I'm not comfortable with it. You ever do that? You ever watch Showtime at the Apollo, Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center? Mark? Okay, not there yet.
Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, everyone. If you're heading into Hartford right now, you're going to see delays on the westbound side of I-84.
You probably coming just from another joint.
Yeah. That's heavy right out to exit 47, Sigourney Street. Eastbound side of 84, delays 44, up to exit 48, Capitol Avenue, downtown. If you're south of 91, you're slowing 33 down to 32 A and B. Again, 27 to 28 on the Hartford Weather Show line. Northbound 91 looking real good. Crime all through downtown up into Windsor. No problems. 291, 384 east of the river. 2 eastbound's okay. Glastonbury to Marlboro. Heading into Middletown, 9 northbound, you've got slow traffic 22 to the Aragoni Bridge. Waterbury, 84 westbound, a little tight 23 into the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound in Danbury, some slow traffic as you move between exit 3 and 5 on the eastbound side of 84. 95 southbound in New Haven, slowing 46 to 44. And southbound Parkway, a little slowdown as you move by exit 60 in Hamden. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Well, as we head through the rest of this afternoon, we're going to see mostly cloudy skies. It will be rather humid out there, and there could be a shower or thunderstorm in a few spots. We'll head up to a high of 81 degrees, and the clouds stick around tonight. Still humid out there with a thunderstorm in a couple spots. Low tonight down to 70 degrees. Then for tomorrow, we are going to see mainly cloudy skies. Still humid with a thunder shower in parts of the area. The high tomorrow, 84. Then a few lingering clouds tomorrow night, low 62. As we head into Friday, it turns out less humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Overall, a beautiful day on Friday with a high temperature up to 85. Then Saturday looks to be a nice day, mostly sunny skies and turning out a little bit warmer as we head up to a high of 87. Right now, it's 75 in Canton, 76 degrees in Manchester, and 77 in Hartford. This is meteorologist Isaac Longley in the WTIC Weather Center.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equals healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Tune in to WTIC News Talk 1080 for Healthy Rounds, hosted by Dr. Anthony Alessi, Saturday mornings 11 till noon. Learn from the top experts in their fields about the latest medical findings and call in with your medical question. Healthy Rounds is dedicated to providing accurate and timely health information and is sponsored by Hartford Healthcare, Ratchford Eye Center, St. Francis Hospital, Covaris, and Yukon Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Healthy Rounds, Saturday mornings 11 till noon on WTIC News Talk 1080 and WTIC.com.
Do you know a veteran in need?
Come on, man.
Military. Many veterans struggle to find their way home because to a veteran, home isn't just a place. It's an idea, a feeling. Nation's Finest understands the challenges veterans face. Through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program,
to the 5 o'clock focus.
we help veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
It's more than 30
then
locations
I didn't listen
in
to
California, Arizona,
I didn't listen to
and
the
Nevada. For more than 50
bit
years,
that you did.
we've helped
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I'm getting
so
ready to
these
listen to it
communities
now.
build happy, healthy, and purposeful lives. And our team is committed to supporting those who've served and their families for another 50. To get help, visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Not bad. Love this album. Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. You got to forgive White Mike in Florida, but I love the guy. But when I say, what was it Dave Chappelle said? That Rick James was a habitual line stepper over. that's my White Mike. He loves crossing, like that Rubicon for him is like, he loves it. He gets on my show and he starts going on that. And we used to what was it? I'll tell you a quick story real quick before I get into this other news item. When I was working for our former sister station up in Buffalo, I didn't realize that they were no longer with our company, but I won't mention them because they're no longer a part of Odyssey. But I was at our sister station up in Boston, and we used to get this one phone call from this one guy who was, and by the way, let me preface this by saying Mike's not some bigot or anything like that. He's just very, very provocative. That's what I love about him. He talks about the stuff that a lot of people are afraid to talk about. But again, I've always got to consider, look, this is a radio station, this is a corporation. We got to, we have to make sure that we stay corporate, as it were. For that reason, it's not all no holds barred radio show, and nor have I ever been a no holds barred sort of host. But we used to get this guy on the Boston station all the time, and he was an avowed bigot, and his name is Scott. And he would call up all the time, and he had a very interesting voice. He would talk like this, and every time he would call up the show, he was like, "Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Hopkins." That's the way he spoke. Many people remember him. I know Rama in Boston, who listens every day, would remember him. He was called up, "Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Hopkins." And he said the most fascinating thing in the world, and it chuckled me. And when I say it chuckled me, literally out of my chair. In one instance, and he had called for a couple of weeks after I just started there, and he said the one line that today made me love him, and that's how he got his nickname. He said to me, "I will admit, Mr. Hopkins, out of all of the radio hosts that are black, you are my favorite." And I thought it was the way he said it, he was being absolutely honest, and he wasn't trying to get a laugh. He was dead serious. And what made it so crazy was that we affectionately referred to him as Scott Nazi. I don't know why it stuck, and I have no idea why he accepted it, but that was the name he took. And when he would call up, I would scream, "Scott Nazi!" And he would be like, "Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Hopkins." Even thinking about him it would just make me laugh. Just one of those callers who just stick with you because he was just so not even animated. He's just, you can get it. Like, you remember a guy like that. One day I'm listening to Limbaugh one day, and Scott got through. He got through to Limbaugh. I'll never forget that. And it blew my mind when I heard his voice on Limbaugh's show. For me, in that moment, Scott had made it. Talk about going to the big leagues. Scott made it to the big leagues that day. Back to the phones we go. 860-522-WTIC. Joe in Simsbury's on the line. Hey, Joe, please reel me back in.
I'll do my best. I'm not even going to address what Mike was talking about, right, other than he really needs to look at archaeology and not just political history. Indeed. That might help him out a bit. But I'm very troubled by a couple things here, and hopefully I can tie them in together.
Sure.
So first and foremost, I'm just going to flat out say it, that there is still something very, very fishy going on with the Trump assassination.
Yes.
With that Pennsylvania colonel from the state police there being asked a question by Representative Eli Crane. It was the end of the question where Crane asked him about that they've been notified that the Crook's house was cleaned up like a medical lab.
Yes. No utensils, no nothing inside the home.
So and then you got the Heritage Foundation saying that they did the same thing that the voter group did in Georgia by tracking cell phones, and someone was going to the house and then they were traveling to a building in Washington, D.C.
Correct. And this was the same technology that was used not only by Dinesh D'Souza's group that did 2,000 Mules, but we also found out that this is exactly what the FBI was doing when they were tracking down people who had showed up at the Capitol on January 6th. And this was their phone data, phone tracking data that could tell where people were and how they traveled.
So it's either right now or in the last couple of hours in Washington, D.C., we have another colossal Secret Service failure. So first of all, in case people aren't aware of this, the Palestinian protesters have taken down American flags. They burned them. They put up Palestinian flags. And we have heard nothing at all from Kamala Harris. Yet we're being told that Kamala may have a 2-point lead on Trump, which is the biggest gaslighting. And those on our side that are evaluating things, thinking that she's anywhere close to Donald Trump right now, are falling right into the hands of the most devious people out there.
Mm-hmm.
But the Secret Service, Netanyahu is staying at the Watergate Hotel, and a Palestinian group has basically brought in thousands and thousands of maggots and crickets in the hotel. And the reason I feel that is important is, this is where I'm going to try to do my circle back thing, is the whole Trump assassination thing and what we're finding out now. And then we find out that these types of people got anywhere near the Watergate Hotel.
Exactly.
It's almost like it's another setup for coming after Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe when people say that they wanted to take out Trump and they wanted to take out Biden, they wanted neither one of them, that they failed with Trump, they're getting rid of Biden, and something is coming. The incompetence is just so severe that it's maggots and crickets in. It
was in a conference room. The maggots and the crickets were
poison gas.
Right. The maggots and the crickets were inside of a conference area that that Netanyahu was supposed to be meeting in. That there were thousands of them. And I saw the videos. A little while ago before we went on air of all of this stuff in there. And again, you're absolutely right. The breach of security protocol in all of these instances thus far almost feels like you have to ask yourself the question. It's one or the other. Either these people are vastly incompetent or they are letting down their guard on purpose.
I say it's letting their guard down on purpose. I really do. I've never known the Secret Service and other security at that level to be anything other than the best in the world. And we're also going to see another thing here. And this is why I bring up this whole thing. And I hope if it is Trump against Kamala, and I'm not sold on that occurring yet.
Nor am I.
That I hope that we don't waste our time on talk radio talking about, she's got a 3-point lead here. No, she doesn't.
I won't even touch it.
About a month ago, she was an anchor on that ticket. They were talking about, is there any way to remove her from the ticket? And now suddenly she's beating Donald Trump?
Joe, that was the reason why.
Way.
Now you understand the method of my madness. That was the reason why I started this show. After I gave a 5 o'clock focus, it was the reason why I played those 3 sound bites from Kristen Welker, Chuck Todd, and even Hannity talking to Gavin Newsom. He was the guy everyone was talking about taking over for Joe Biden. There was never a mention of Kamala Harris. She was completely brushed over, and they were going straight for Gavin Newsom. There was no interest. Not only that, it was also the point that I made when people were talking about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Not once was Kamala Harris accused of running the ship. Ever.
And the whole thing when it comes to Kamala is that the only way they can steal this election, other than the things like having a new virus or aliens or the grid going down, things like that, all of which are possible, is she's got to be legitimately really close to Donald Trump. That way, a week later, they can say, oh, yeah, she caught Trump at the end. She doesn't have the ability to do that. So they're going to have to get rid of her to put in someone who has new polling, does not have a history of polling that we can go back to just to be able to pull off the steal. Or they're going to have to take out Donald Trump. If they take out Donald Trump, then it would either be J.D. Vance on the ticket, or I don't know, maybe they do something different. They put Nikki Haley.
What about this?
Nikki Haley would destroy Kamala.
What about, okay, I'll throw another theory at you, Joe, because I've mentioned this before and I've never gotten your feedback on this. And I consider you pretty astute here. Look, I really do believe that there is a lot to be said about this non-Obama or Obama's endorsement of Kamala Harris. In my heart of hearts, and I think was it Jasmine Crockett of Texas and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York have openly said that people on the inside may be saying they support Kamala Harris, but they truly want her out because they want an open field in 2028. Are you like me in agreeing with Crockett and Cortez in saying that there's no way that the Democrat Party wants to tether itself to Kamala Harris? Because remember, she becomes president of the United States. they have to, in essence, they've got to spend their next, 4-8 years dragging her across the finish line because she's got an unpopularity problem, and we know they don't want her, but if they allow her to win, if they cheat, as you said, to allow her to win, they are tethered to her for the next 8 years. I don't think they want that. She's a political loss. She's a political liability. That's why I believe that there's no chance she's the nominee.
Or she's the nominee, and they turn around and they take her out.
Yeah, they allow her to lose.
She had one job.
That's right.
She had one job, and that was to be the border czar.
Mm-hmm.
And she has failed at it miserably. And they're going to start bringing out all the things that have happened over the last 4 years of real sharp staffers who have left working for her and the rumors of substance abuse issues and all kinds of other.
There's even a little. There's some conversations about alcoholism and things like that. I've heard as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of that stuff, and I think the objective is, and that's the reason why I think there's the Obama holdout, is to allow her to lose so they wash their hands of that ticket. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they allowed Donald Trump to win. I think, I know that you probably feel as though the deep state is a little more nefarious, but I think personally, you allow Donald Trump to win. You go through those 4 years. He's a lame duck from the moment he's in there, and then they get an open field. It's either Gatham, Gretchen Whitmer, or whatever the case is. All they want to do is separate themselves from Kamala Harris. At least that's the way I see Democrats right now. The nefarious stuff aside.
The only part of that I'm not totally sold on is that they are so close to destroying this country right now that they don't want Donald Trump in there for 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't want a Republican in there for 4 years. They are just inches away from the total destruction of this country. When they turn around and they try to give all these illegals the right to vote, and all the other things that are going on in this country, I don't think they're willing to give that up for Trump. But the whole thing, it just stinks.
It does stink.
It really stinks to me.
I will admit this, as you're talking, I try really, really hard. It's just like, okay, don't go over the edge. Don't go over the edge. Don't jump out the window. There's a part of me that kind of just says, okay, we have to get back to reason. But as I listen to you, and again, I've talked to you long enough, Joe, to know I don't think you're some quack. In no way do I think you're a quack. So I trust you with your analysis, and you're a guy who does this. But there's some of it that kind of like makes me go, geez, I hope he's not right. I really do. I know you hope you're not right. But it does sort of give me a daunting feeling. That's what it is. And I'm trying to hold it together. But I'm always wondering, is it one day, 1 week away from the absolute annihilation of the rule of law in this country? Is it that bad? Do we have some dark figures in the background who are doing anything and everything they can to construct a vision of this country we won't even recognize? It scares the hell out of me. And I can't help it. Like I don't want to be naive, so I almost kind of have to look over my shoulder to some degree. It's kind of the way last word, sir.
Yeah, my belief from my core is that there's something else big that's coming.
Yeah.
It's just that they just tried to put, they're not going to put Trump in jail right now. That would be
ridiculous.
That would be ridiculous, but even bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
But they've gone to such an extent that these people are not going to sit there and say, oh boy, this guy outsmarted us, son of a gun. We'll get him next time. No.
I don't know. Thank you, Joe. Much appreciated, sir. Whew. Well, let's hope for some good news. Let's go to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Any good news on the roads?
Not too. It's not bad news, so overall, we're doing okay. Reese, thank you very much. 84 eastbound delays about a mile before 46 Sisson Avenue into the tunnel. Westbound 94 is tied up approaching the Bulky Bridge to 47 Sigourney Street. Southbound 91, look for delays 33 down to 32 A and B. Again, down by exit 28. Northbound 91 moves well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291, 384 okay. So the river 2 eastbound moving well. Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound, you've got delays from 22 up to the Aragoni Bridge. Waterbury's okay, 84 and 8. The 84 eastbound Danbury slowing by exit 3. South 95 New Haven tight 46 to 44. You'll see some slow traffic as you move down southbound on the Parkway down by exit 59 in New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
The cold front is moving very slowly this way for the Great Lakes region. In advance of that front, it will stay mostly cloudy and humid here for now through the better part of tomorrow. And there'll be a shower or thunderstorm around from time to time. For the rest of today, mostly cloudy and muggy. A couple of widely separated showers and a stray thunderstorm. Not expecting widespread rainfall. Today's high 81. Mostly cloudy and humid tonight with the thunderstorm at spots and a low of just 70. And more of the same tomorrow. Mostly cloudy and humid. And as that front moves in, there could be a thunderstorm around. Won't rain everywhere, but any storm can be heavy and gusty, high 84. And behind that front, it'll turn a little cooler and more comfortable tomorrow night, turning out partly cloudy with the low of 62. And we'll enjoy lower humidity on Friday, mixture of clouds and sunshine. Friday's high 85. Friday night, clear and comfortable, low 63. Heading into the weekend, good deal of sunshine on Saturday, very warm but not too humid, with a high temperature of 88, and similar weather on Sunday. This is meteorologist Bob Larson of the WTIC Weather Center.
Follow WTIC News Talk 1080. Don't miss out on important updates in Connecticut. From breaking need-to-know news, weather alerts, and more. Follow WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey app now. WTIC is 99 and kicks off a year-long celebration to 100 years on the air. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
5 o'clock, good afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. A woman due to be sentenced in the death of her husband, who was a UConn professor, has been found dead in her home in Burlington. State police reported the body of Linda Kasuda Begazi, who was 76, found in the Smith Lane residence just after 10:30 this morning. Now, she pleaded guilty earlier this year to manslaughter in the death of her husband, Pierre Luigi Begazi. Authorities say his body was hidden for months as the university continued to deposit paychecks into the couple's joint account. Pierre Luigi Begazi died in what Kasuda Begazi said was self-defense, unbeknownst to the university until February of 2018. Israel's prime minister paid a controversial visit to Capitol Hill, where he delivered a fiery speech asking for U.S. support in his fight against terror. More from correspondent Matt Piper.
Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to bolster U.S. support for his country's fight against Hamas, speaking to lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
My friends, I came to assure you today of one thing. We will win.
But outside in the streets of Washington, thousands of protesters against his visit.
When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
Matt Piper, CBS News.
Hartford police have made an arrest in a stabbing from the evening of July 4th. More from WTIC's Dave Mager.
Police say the victim, a woman in her 30s, was slashed in the neck outdoors on New Britain Ave. It was near an apartment building with businesses, including a pizza place downstairs. She survived. Police don't believe she knew her alleged attacker, 41-year-old Jose Vasquez of Sherbrooke Ave. He was found by the Hartford Police Fugitive Task Force. Charges include first-degree assault. Bond was set at $750,000. Dave Maker, WTIC 1080 News.
Surgery is scheduled for a young dog who suffered a broken pelvis when she was tossed from a vehicle on Tuesday. Avon Animal Control Officer Angela Grano on the case.
2 young girls witnessed this dog being thrown from a moving vehicle in the Petco parking lot on the Avon side of town, and they begged their parents to stop, and they found her on the ground immobile, and they brought her into Petco for safekeeping. Petco then contacted me.
That's a Lasso Apso, about a year old, being called Amelia Earhart. Grano is optimistic about the surgery. They've already raised $6,000 for the operation, and they're still accepting cash or check donations to the Avon Pet Pantry. Calling it the biggest expansion in its history, Avelo Airlines is announcing 7 flights out of Bradley International Airport to our international destinations, says CEO Andrew Levy.
Cancun, Mexico. We are going to serve Cancun, Mexico,
We're the only airline serving Connecticut that is going to offer that. And then, as important, or even more so, is service to Montego Bay, Jamaica.
The other domestic destinations include Charlotte, North Carolina, Daytona Beach, Orlando, Houston, and Wilmington, North Carolina. Fares will start at $62. Avello already serves 21 nonstop destinations from Tweed, New Haven Airport. A huge sell-off on Wall Street today. Business reporter Jason Brooks with the recap.
The NASDAQ sustained its third biggest single-day decline in history after Tesla and Google disappointed the market with their second quarter earnings results, with Tesla shares diving after CEO Elon Musk didn't provide any details on the company's upcoming robotaxi event or an affordable EV model that he promised for the first half of 2025. The Dow plummeted 504 points to 39,853. The NASDAQ took a 655-point dive to 17,342, and the S&P fell 128 points to 5427. Jason Brooks, CBS News.
I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Do you know a veteran in need? In the military, many veterans struggle to find their way home because to a veteran, home isn't just a place, it's an idea, a feeling. Nation's Finest understands the challenges veterans face. Through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, we help veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada. For more than 50 years, we've helped thousands of veterans in these communities build happy, healthy, and purposeful lives. And our team is committed to supporting those who've served and their families for another 50. To get help, visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
Is that me? I guess I'm just going. It's Reese on the Radio. NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. Telephone number 860-522-9842. Make sure that you give us a call for the 5 o'clock focus. Friends, good for you. And I know the kids love the friends. I know everybody thinks that they should have a friend. But are friends useful to you in your grown age years? Do you just, I know a lot of people have family and, they're kind of who you confide in. But if you believe that, friends are, necessary, unnecessary, couldn't live without your friends. I know you ladies out there have your girlfriends, you're all pretending to be characters from Sex and the City. I'm kidding. I have no idea what women do. I have no idea. I'm totally kidding. And I deserve for you to rip me apart for saying it. Because I understand and I know how sexist that was. But I'm totally kidding. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Speaking of women, apparently Kamala Harris thinks that the women are getting pregnant every day, and it's a tragedy.
Women are getting pregnant every day in America, and this is a real issue, and we need to act with a sense of haste about what is at play, what is at stake.
What? If you think that I'm sexist, for crying out loud, listen, I'm not kidding. This woman actually said that. I wish this were made up.
Women are getting pregnant every day in America, and this is a real issue, and we need to act with a sense of haste about what is at play, what is at stake, and codifying Roe will be an important moment in terms of putting back in place protections.
I can't believe this. He actually said it. Women are getting pregnant. I mean, she was treating it like they were getting diabetes. What the hell? We'll play some more after the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, the ride into Hartford up here on the eastbound side of 84, that looks slow as you move about a half mile before 46th Avenue. down up to 48 Capitol Avenue downtown. Westbound 84 is head up approaching the Bulkley Bridge at 47 Sigourney. Southbound 91 delays 33 down to 32 A and B. Quiet northbound 91 Cromwell to Windsor locks. 291 384 no issues. Eastbound, that's an easy ride as you move from Glastonbury out into the Marlboro exits. If you're heading into Middletown right now, 9 northbound a little tight, 22 up to the Aragoni Bridge. Waterbury's okay, 84 and 8 heading down in toward New Haven. Southbound on the Parkway looks like an accident down by exit 59 in New Haven. Delays are approaching the West Rock Tunnel behind that. 95 South New Haven slows 46 down to 44. Traffic and weather together on the 8s WTIC News Talk 1080.
Are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equals healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Need good tech advice?
Must be. Oh, a minute.
Error. Tune into the Gold.com award-winning Computer Talk with Tab. Saturday mornings 9 to 11 on WTIC News Talk 1080. Eric Semmel and Dennis Howland of Tab Computer Systems will keep you updated with tech news you can use and answer your technology questions live on the air. Miss a program? Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and tune in from anywhere via the Odyssey app. Computer Talk with Tab, Saturday mornings on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I hope you'll tune in to listen to my show every weeknight at 6 right here on WTIC News Talk 1080. I'll break down the news of the day, everything from national politics down to the battle at the local school board. I'm not going to give you the party line, no predictable red meat. I'll give you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and what's going on in this insane world. I hope you'll join me. The Eric Erickson Show, weeknights 6 till 9 right here on WTIC News Talk 1080 and on the free Odyssey app.
Not bad. Keep that one rolling. It's about to get better. Reese On The Radio. News Talk 1080 WTIC. Do you have friends? Everyone's got friends. I just don't, I don't, maybe I don't even understand how friends work. If there's a rule, there a rule of thumb. Can you have part-time friends? Roland, what's your take on, like, I'm sure you can sort of consider them your boys, like your crew or whatever it is, right? So if you had to say that your core friends, how many of them do you have altogether?
I have probably 3 real friends. Okay,
so 3 real friends. Now. Yeah. When you have these 3 guys, nondescript, I'll just ask you this, and this is kind of how I used to view my friendships. Do you have one of those 3 friends that you could call if you were trapped in another country?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can distinguish one of them that if you were caught in Beirut, you could call that guy and he'd get you the help you needed.
Yeah. Well, that's just like if you had 3 kids, you got a favorite one, right?
Well, I wasn't thinking that, but I used to literally, this is true. Back when I was in my 20s, I used to gauge my friends by the person that I would call if I was in a jam. Like if I was really, really couldn't figure it out myself and I needed to get some help. What I used to call them my local friend, my national friend, and my international friend. And I will admit that was partially, that was in part due to how much money they made. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. If they had a good job, a really, really good job, that is the international friend that I was called. If I was stuck in Australia and I needed $100 or maybe even more than that, I needed a plane ticket home, that is the friend that I would keep sort of in the billfold. That's the Rolodex friend that I would call. If I was caught in California and I needed to get back to New York, I had the national friend. He could get me home from California. And my regional friend was in the tri-state area. That guy could get me bus fare, probably because he worked a regular job. Like, he didn't make a lot. That sounds crazy, but my friends used to say, like, really? That's how you gauge your friends? I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just one of those things that I believe that, again, I believe the term a friend in need is a pest. Now, I would never put myself in a predicament where I would have to call them for any of that. But there is that friend that you can rely on where if you're in if you're in the thick of it, like if you're in the crapper and you need that guy, that's the guy that you rule out. You've also got the friend that will do whatever you want, no questions asked. Did you ever see that movie, The Town, with Ben Affleck?
Yep.
And Jeremy Renner? Do you remember that scene where he walks in? I know you people in New England, we know this movie better than anybody. When he walks into Jeremy Renner and he goes, look, I need you to come with me and we're going to go someplace and we're going to do some damage to some people. And you can't ask me anything about it, but are you in or you out?
He's like, I'm all in.
And he says, whose car are we taking?
Yeah.
That's those values in a friendship are what I'm talking about.
Mine is based on secrets. Like, I'm able to tell. Yeah. One of my guys know just about all my deep, dark secrets. Yeah. And before I got married, when I used to date, I'll just hit him up and be like, hey, nobody knows where I'm at, but I'm at such and such place with this girl or that girl.
Ooh,
so just in case anything pop off.
He's the alibi.
The alibi too, but he also knows something happened to me. He knows my last whereabouts and who I was with.
Okay.
So you always have to have that one person that can
I did not know
do that for you. Yeah.
Okay, last known locations. I would have never thought of having a guy like that. So now it's so funny because I'm listening to you and I'm going, nah, no wonder my wife put Life 360 on my phone.
Yeah, she wants to know where you at all times.
Every moment, yeah. It's funny because she has an alert as soon as I pull up. It's like it dings on her phone. It's like, oh, baby's home. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought that, okay, so having somebody who knows your last whereabouts. Okay.
And your secrets.
That
way okay, no matter what, I could tell. Because sometimes you have secrets that just itch you because you can't tell anyone.
That's true.
No matter what, you can tell this person, and it's never going to go anywhere.
You know what you just brought up? And this is very, very true. I believe this about most. Well, I'm not saying that you're a criminal, but I believe this. The theory, the point you're making, I believe the same thing about criminals, right? Is it a crime if no one knows you did it?
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't really, like if one of anybody I knew were to actually rob a bank of $1 million, hell, $100,000, and he got away with it, and years went down and they could never find the culprit, and you're that guy, the mistake always of that individual is telling someone because you almost feel like, hey, if nobody knows I did it, I can't really, like the part of doing the crime are the bragging rights.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you almost feel like you have to tell someone. So you need that friend who's like, look, if I tell you this, you have to make sure that you never tell a soul. And I kind of feel like that's what, you remember all of those cases? This is so true.
Didn't that just happen in Mass? The guy died, and on his deathbed, he told his daughter that he had robbed a bank in like 75.
Yeah.
And they've been living off that money the whole time. And he had a regular job. No, not a regular job, but he was working at the golf, what do you call that?
Oh, at a golf course?
A golf club, yeah. He was working at a golf club the rest of his life. And that's where they thought that he was getting all the money from. But he just managed all the money he stole throughout all of those years. So, and told his daughter what he did on his deathbed.
That's interesting. Because, it's funny because the guy who was responsible for Watergate, and the and he was Deep Throat. He was the liaison that was giving all of the information to Woodward and Bernstein. He waited until he was just about to be on his deathbed to finally reveal who he was. I'll never forget the day that news broke, that he had kept it for all those times. So I mean, yes, are there some people who can keep a secret to their deathbed? Sure. I give the guy, the bank robber from 75, I give him credit. He waited until he was right there at the edge to tell. But I think that's kind of what you do. I'll be honest, it sounds crazy, but I was kind of hoping OJ would wait until that final moment and just go, I did it. Like I really, really thought that. I wish somebody would go to AJ Cowlings. Was it AC Cowlings, whatever his name is? Yeah. I wish somebody would go to him and just say, okay, look, he's gone now. Can you tell us if he or not? It's like, okay, you know what? At this point,
my pastor prophesied that he didn't do it. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go with that.
True. I'll go with that too. But like, I do believe that there are, like, I think I'm in agreement with you. There are some guys who have friends who they share their deepest, darkest secrets with, and they never tell. Me, on the other hand, I don't trust any of you. I just don't. Not a trusting person. Just
that's hard. That's the problem is with trust is it's so hard to get, so easy to break. But at the same time, do I even want to risk it? Yeah. Like, what am I risking it for? Yeah.
And look, you just don't know who's a dirtbag. You know what I mean? It's like, you just don't know who a dirtbag is. And I think one of the biggest problems that I had, like, over the past 5-6 years, I remember, in fact, even before my wife and I, Roseanne, got together, she and I, we were sitting there talking one day, talking about, are we ever going to have a problem with secrets that we keep from one another? And I told her in the beginning, I said, there's a lot of things that I have never told you, and I know I'm going to have a conversation with you about. And there are things that I know that you've told me that I don't know anything about. And she had to, finally come clean with those things and talk to me. And I had to talk to her about things that things about, not just by my past, but about me in general, that I had to come clean with. And then I remember the day that she and I both looked at each other and said, we are never, ever going to do that to one another. We're never going to keep anything unsaid. We're never going to say, oh, by the way, I told you this. Oh, I never told you this. We're never going to do that to each other. And that was a sigh of relief that I really, for the first time, felt like I could trust someone, because if you don't have that, what do you have?
Yeah, me and my wife is the same way. The only thing I don't tell her is how much money I win. So it's always half of what I win. I say, babe, I won 500. I won 1,000, but to her, I won 500. That way, if she asks for some, I could give her 200 and she's still happy. And now I got my 800 to myself. So
you better hope she's not listening now.
No.
She's not a big fan of me. She doesn't listen to me.
No, she's not. She's cool with you. She's not a she's a diehard Democrat.
Oh,
so you could do to change her. So it's worthless to. And I just heckle her on purpose, and I send her Trump memes and all type of.
That's funny.
And she gets riled up about it, and so she's like, I don't know if I want you working there anymore.
Really? Because she thinks we have a horrible influence on you.
Yeah.
Of course she does. So again, if you've got, I don't know how many friends anyone can have. I know some people who have a lot of friends, and they are really, really tight with them. They all get together. They do everything together. And when I was in my 20s, I knew people who, in fact, I was dating this girl, Lisa, from Arizona, and she and her sister just had a slew of friends that we had to go to brunch with every single Sunday. And I hated going to brunch with this group because what used to drive me crazy is this group of friends had a way in which they went to brunch. And for those of you who remember the TV show Friends, there was an episode that I actually lived. And it was the episode where they were all going out to dinner and they split the bill evenly amongst everyone, even though some of the people in the group didn't make good money. So like 3 of them made great money and the other 3 were like waitresses and starving actors, and stuff like that. But they all made them pay the same amount. That was actually what I was living in the mid-90s, with this group. Lisa, what was it? Lacey was her friend and her boyfriend and Kristen and all them. And we would just go out and everybody had to. I have a $9 salad. And by the time it was over, my bill was like $17 plus a tip. And I'm like, I had a $9 salad. By the way, who in the hell serves you a $9 salad in a Mint? But that's what brunches were, is truth. It's a place called Elephant and Castle in the Greenwich Village. I hated that place. But yeah, those types of friendships where you have to go out on trips together and do brunches together and everyone's talking about their week and every place that they've been and where they're going. This is the reason why I stopped having friends. It's the reason why I stopped having these conversations with people. They always want to tell me about, oh, we just got back from Paris. Oh, we were there for 2 weeks. And I'm saying, do I really have to sit here for this conversation? Do I really have to? I don't want to talk about this at all. And then I would find a reason to go, thank God I smoked back then. Thank God I smoked back then. And I'll be honest with you, folks. Not only did I smoke when we were at those restaurants, I smoked menthol 100s. Can we give it up to? Yes. Menthol 100s. So I did not have to hear about Lacey's trip to Paris. When I got back, that story was pretty much a wrap. I loved every bit of that. Every bit of that. I can still taste that Newport right now. I haven't had a smoke in 3 years. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Never going back. Never going back. John Beckman says, like everyone in the group showing each other the damn baby photos. Good Lord. Yes. That's another thing that, when the ladies get together and they start showing each other photos. Kevin L says, I smoked Cools for years. Kevin, did you smoke Cool Filter Kings? Did you smoke Cool Filter Kings? That was my first cigarette ever. And I have never been dizzier in my life. The only other time I was dizzy was when I went upside down in a pool. But I smoked, the first cigarette I ever smoked, I was 13, was a Cool Filter King. And I still, I remember it vividly. I had this rush of like whatever to my head and a ringing noise. It was like a ringing noise. And I was dizzy. I couldn't get up. I thought someone had drugged me. That's how impressive that was. I thought I'd been drugged. I was like, can you roofie a cigarette? That's what I thought. Oh, man. Oh, Sokolowski says, I quit 30 years ago and never went back. Marlboro was his brand. Yeah. Kept my coworkers from bumming smokes. You know what? That's how I stopped. Speaking to get off the beaten path here. I know I told this story all the time, but Washington Square Park in New York City, if you've ever been there, I used to hang out there. And if you had a pack of Newports, you would get hounded by people bumming a cigarette. Hey, can I bum a cigarette? Hey, can I bum a cigarette? It was when I started smoking Marlboro Lights that I would get like the cross from Nosferatu. It was like, they were like, hey, can you bum a cigarette? And I pull out a box of Newport Lights and people were like, I was like, hey, what's wrong? It's a Newport. Are those Marlboro? Get those away from me. I'm like, it's a cigarette. It's not a menthol. You don't smoke menthol? What's wrong with you? They were very, very fearful of that. I am so glad I don't smoke. Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm so glad I don't smoke anymore. That hankering was a killer. Goodness gracious. That was a killer. Vaguely remember that. Oh, yeah. It's, I don't know. What are you going to do? When we come back, and by the way, we're still taking your calls on Friends. I've got some audio that I really, really want to share with you. Liz Warren, and I think this is the one that is going to really, really set everything apart. Liz Warren was asked on CNN, what was Kamala Harris's greatest accomplishment? Again, what was Kamala Harris's greatest accomplishment in politics? We'll play that soundbite when we return. And of course, a supercut of Kamala Harris at her best when we return. Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. If you are heading into Hartford right now, looking at delays at East Hartford, approaching the Bulky Bridge out to 45 Flatbush Avenue. Eastbound side of 84, you're slowing from 44 Prospect Oakwood down to the Bulkley. Southbound 91 delays 33 to 32. Again, 27 down to 28 on the Hartford Weathersfield line. Northbound 91 moving well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 through 84, no issues east of the river. 2 westbound slowing as you merge with 84 west in East Hartford. 9 northbound delays 22 up to the Aragodi Bridge in Middletown. If you're heading toward Waterbury, 84 eastbound, some slow traffic by exit 18. Westbound 84 is a little slow between exit 22 and 21 heading toward the Mixmaster. Heavy traffic 84 eastbound Danbury from the New York Connecticut line out to exit 5. Again, you'll see some slow traffic as you move between 8 and 9 in Newtown, and again 84 eastbound 10 to 11 in Newtown. Southbound Parkway, an accident down by exit 59 in New Haven has you backed up to 62 in Hamden. South 95 New Haven slowing from 46 down to exit 44. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
The cold front is moving very slowly this way for the Great Lakes region. In advance of that front, it will stay mostly cloudy and humid here for now through the better part of tomorrow. And there'll be a shower thunderstorm around from time to time. For the rest of today, mostly cloudy and muggy. A couple of widely separated showers and a stray thunderstorm, not expecting widespread rainfall. Today's high 81. Mostly cloudy and humid tonight with the thunderstorm at spots and a low of just 70. And more of the same tomorrow. Mostly cloudy and humid. And as that front moves in, there could be a thunderstorm around. Won't rain everywhere, but any storm can be heavy and gusty, high 84. And behind that front, it'll turn a little cooler and more comfortable tomorrow night, turning out partly cloudy with the low of 62. And we'll enjoy lower humidity on Friday, mixture of clouds and sunshine. Friday's high 85. Friday night, clear and comfortable, low 63. Heading into the weekend, good deal of sunshine on Saturday, very warm but not too humid, with a high temperature of 88, and similar weather on Sunday. This is meteorologist Bob Larson of the WTIC Weather Center.
Get a head start to your day with WTIC News Talk 1080. Listen to us live on the Odyssey app before you even hit the road. Get the breakdown on the biggest news stories that Connecticut is talking about. To get started, download the Odyssey app and search for WTIC News Talk 1080. And now, a WTIC News Update.
5:30, good afternoon. I'm John Silva. WTIC 1080 News. State police say the wife of a Yukon professor who pled guilty to killing, was found dead in her home today. Linda Kasuda Bagazi was awaiting sentencing in the death of Pierre Luigi Bagazi when she was found in her Burlington home this morning. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter earlier this year after her husband's paychecks were continued to be deposited into their joint account months after his death. Investigations continuing in Monroe after a 2-year-old boy was shot on Tuesday. Police say the child was shot in the hand and foot. Police and EMS responded first to Route 110 in Osborne Lane. The boy's mother was apparently trying to drive him to the hospital from their Wheeler Lane home before she opted to call 911. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu trying to bolster U.S. support for his country's fight against Hamas and other Iran-backed militants. In a speech before Congress today, more than 50 Democratic lawmakers boycotted his appearance, and thousands of protesters amassed around the Capitol to condemn the war in Gaza. FBI Director Christopher Wray testified before Congress in the assassination attempt on former President Trump. Wray says the shooter is believed to have done a Google search on Lee Oswald and the assassination of President John F. Kennedy prior to the attack at the Trump Pennsylvania rally. Avelo Airlines announcing new destinations from Bradley, Cancun, Charlotte, North Carolina, Daytona Beach among the domestic routes to go with Montego Bay, Jamaica. And President Biden delivers an Oval Office address tonight. He is expected to speak about his decision to leave the presidential race. We'll have it here on WTIC News Talk 1080 beginning at 8. Wall Street losses all around today. The Dow 504 points to be exact. NASDAQ down 654, and the S&P lost 128 points. Red Sox are getting smoked in Colorado by the Rockies. It's 19-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Mets and Yankees finish the Subway Series tonight at the stadium. In the Eastern League, Harrisburg faces the Yard Goats out at Duncan Park, 7:10 on the Odyssey app. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I hope you'll tune in to listen to my show every weeknight at 6 right here on WTIC News Talk 1080. I'll break down the news of the day, everything from national politics down to the battle at the local school board. I'm not going to give you the party line, no predictable red meat. I'll give you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and what's going on in this insane world. I hope you'll join me. The Eric Erickson Show, weeknights 6 till 9 right here on WTIC News Talk 1080 and on the free Odyssey app.
All the audio that matters to you is on Odyssey. Odyssey has news that hits home in your local area and around the country. Get local news, traffic, and weather from stations near you. Get national news from CNN, Fox News Radio, and more. And explore the biggest news podcasts like The Daily Punch, Pod Save America, and The Daily, AUDACY. Find all the news that matters to you in a universe of audio. Odyssey.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you'll have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equals healthy fun in the... Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Hey now, we are back. Reese on the radio. News Talk 1080 WTIC, filling in for Todd Feinberg. I was on my podcast last night talking about this whole DEI thing. It goes in, it's in the same breath of CRT. In the beginning, when we were talking about CRT many moons ago, CRT was, we must accept CRT. CRT is good. We must have CRT. And then it became, it's not really CRT. It's not even remotely close to CRT. They were running from it. I was like, really? Polling data says people hate it? Okay, we're not a part of that. Same thing with defund the police. Defund the police! Defund the police! Well, people don't like that. People don't like that in the black community. The Republicans started that. And now the new one is DEI.
So she's already raised over $100 million. And it's only
Like in
like a
48
day and a
hours or
half.
something.
Yeah, a day and a half.
Yeah.
But Republicans like Tennessee Congressman Tim Burkett,
You should know the name before you read it.
I don't know what it says. Burchett have been ramping up their attacks on why she's unfit to serve. Watch.
First off, he said he's going to hire a black female for vice president, and that he just skipped over. What about white females? What about any other group? It just, when you go down that route, you take mediocrity, and that's what they have right now as a vice president.
So are you suggesting she was a DEI hire?
100%. She was a DEI hire.
And they told us that's what they wanted. They needed DEI. They were angry at the Supreme Court ruling. DEI is a must.
Okay, so here I'm going to be respectful because you actually have a job. He never said that. He said he was thinking about a woman. He never said her color. He never said anything.
What? That's not true. That's not true. Said the same thing about Ketanji Brown Jackson. Said the same thing about her. We're going to have a black woman on the Supreme Court. Yeah, qualifications be damned. Now all of a sudden they're running from DEI. Polling data ain't working for you? You're abandoning it? Now it's considered the N-word. It's like, wow, that's interesting. It's a crazy turn of events. When we come back, Elizabeth Warren, you got to hear it. The greatest accomplishment of Kamala Harris's career It's a doozy. It is a doozy. We'll get to that in a second. Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Hey, Mark.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Well, good afternoon to you and to everyone. And if you're making your way in toward Hartford right now and you're on the southbound side of I-91, look for delays 33 Jennings Road down to 32 A and B. The ride south of downtown is tight again as you move down from exit 27 down to 28 on the Hartford Weather Shield line. Northbound 91, that's an easy ride as you come up from Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 slowing, approaching the Boakley Bridge to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound, you've got slow traffic 44 up to exit 48 downtown. 291 384 okay east of the river. If you're 9 northbound, look for slow traffic 22 to the Aragoni Bridge. Waterbury 84 westbound a little tight as you approach exit 21 toward the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound New York Connecticut line slowing in Danbury from that point up to exit 5. 84 eastbound in Newtown slowing at 11. We are looking at some very heavy traffic now southbound on the Parkway. Looks like a crash down by exit 59 in New Haven. Delays back to exit 62, approaching 62 in Hamden. Behind that, 95 South New Haven slowing 46 to 44. 91 southbound, you've got delays from exit 7 in New Haven down in toward the 95 interchange. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather. Mostly cloudy and humid for the rest of this afternoon. There will be a shower and a thunderstorm at a few spots. We'll head up to plenty of clouds around tonight. Still humid out there with a thunderstorm in a couple of spots. The low tonight down at 70. Tomorrow turns out mainly cloudy and humid. Once again, there can be a thunder shower, at least in parts of the area. The high tomorrow up to 84. Then a few lingering clouds tomorrow night, low down to 62. Heading into Friday, we do have an area of high pressure building in. That's going to lead to lower humidity. We'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine. Overall, a nice day on Friday with a high up to 85. And we'll see plenty of sunshine on Saturday, turning out warmer as well as we head up to a high of 87. Right now it's 75 in Avon, 74 degrees in Rockville, and 78 in Hartford. This is meteorologist Isaac Longley in the WTIC Weather Center.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equals healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Tune in to WTIC
30 seconds.
Talk 1080 for Healthy Rounds, hosted by Dr. Anthony Alessi. Saturday mornings 11 till noon. Learn from the top experts in their fields about the latest medical findings and call in with your medical question. Healthy Rounds is dedicated to providing accurate and timely health information and is sponsored by Hartford Healthcare, Ratchford Eye Center, St. Francis Hospital, Covaris, and Yukon Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Healthy Rounds, Saturday mornings 11 till noon on WTIC, News Talk 1080, and WTIC.com.
Well, what? Pharaoh Munch. News Talk 1080 WTIC. Reese on the radio filling in for Todd Feinberg. You can't get a rowdier track than that. Maybe Annie Up is a little more rowdy. White Mike is like, I'm on the hold. I'm like, no, we're not getting into this conversation anymore. I love you, bro. I do. I love you, bro. Kamala Harris, greatest accomplishment, according to Elizabeth Warren. Now, as you know, Kamala Harris was a attorney, prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and, of course, vice president. So when you ask the question, what her greatest accomplishment, she's got a long resume. What's her greatest accomplishment? On the fly. All right, go. What's her greatest accomplishment? You'd think you'd hear some astonishing stuff, especially from a senator who served with her in the Senate. Here's what she said when asked.
What do you think has been her biggest accomplishment since she's been vice president?
Oh, I have to say, since the Dobbs opinion, the way that she has rallied women and friends of women, also called men, around this country on the issue of abortion.
What? That's her accomplishment, that she rallied people? She was a cheerleader? I mean, no offense, but I mean, that rallied people?
And just taking it home.
Taking what home? The Dobbs decision is the law of the land. Taking what home? What, a couple of streamers? A couple of posters and some protest signs? What do you mean she took what home?
First vice president in history to visit an abortion clinic.
I visited an abortion clinic. Am I accomplished? What? Well, who hasn't done that? Visited an abortion. That's an accomplishment?
Go get them. You know,
go get them?
She's someone who talks openly about things that were kind of challenging for some people to.
I do that every day, Elizabeth Warren. I talk about things that are challenging for some people.
Talk about, but also to talk about it
was President Biden didn't even mention the word abortion in his State of the Union.
But Vice President Harris has, and she's talked about it both with compassion, but also with a sense of what is right.
Yeah, with a sense of what is right. Yes. Here's an example of that.
Women are getting pregnant every day in America. And this is a real issue, and we need to act with a sense of haste about what is at play, what is at stake.
You'd think that she was talking about women are getting COVID. Women are getting pregnant every day. They're just waking up. All of a sudden, there's a human life rumbling around in their bellies. They don't know how it happened. We've got to act with a sense of urgency. People are breaking out with pregnancy. What are we going to do? We've got to hurry up and pass legislation to deal with all of these rampant breakouts of pregnancy. How is no one playing this? What is wrong with you people?
Women are getting pregnant every day in America. And this is a real issue, and we need to act with a sense of haste.
That's the way they view it. Your beautiful bundle of joy, ladies and gentlemen. That baby. You grandparents out there, you've got a daughter, maybe even a son, who's just celebrating a newborn bundle of joy. According to Kamala Harris, your children were stricken with that disease of pregnancy. That's what it is. How is no one flipping on this craziness? How is this not on a loop?
Women are getting pregnant every day in America.
The lunacy doesn't stop there. If you thought Joe Biden said, if you don't know whether or not to vote for me or Donald Trump, you ain't black, I think Joy Reid may have topped it, if not met the mark. Joy Reid, ladies and gentlemen, and she's gone wackadoodle lately.
Y'all just tell me who the nominee is going to be. Let me know when you guys are finished fighting amongst yourselves who I got to vote for in November to keep Hitler out the White House. That's all I want to know. Who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. Y'all do your thing. Play in traffic all you want in front of these Republicans, acting a fool in front of these people instead of privately declaring your stuff. But don't text me no more, because I'm not taking no more of these texts. Just let me know when you guys are finished figuring it out, Democrats, because I know y'all the freak out people. Go ahead and freak out, have your conversation, and then let me know who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House.
She never mentions Kamala Harris. Never mentions Kamala Harris. Just tell me, Democrats, who to vote for. She's not even suggesting Kamala Harris.
That's it. I'm done. Oh, and by the way, if it's Biden in a coma, I'm going to vote for Biden in a coma.
She had options. If it's Biden in a coma, she's voting for Biden. Didn't even mention Kamala Harris.
Coma. I don't even really particularly like the guy. A lot of his policy, don't like him. He's not Donald Trump, right? Yeah. Hitler, White House. We keeping him out. Keeping Project 2025 out. That's all I care about. Up and down the ballot, from the rooter to the tutor. School board, all the way up to White House and everything in between. Governors, members of Congress. I'm just going to vote all the way down to keep these people out.
Never once mentions Kamala Harris. And then, what, just yesterday? She records this.
I just got to say it. Given the just stratospheric entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris into the presidential campaign, and she has now secured enough delegates to become the nominee, you're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color.
You weren't even there. You weren't even on that line. It was Biden in a coma. Now, miraculously, 10 toes down, as the kids say, for Kamala Harris.
But really, as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture, you're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side. The door needs to close behind Amber. And she looked crazy over there. But shut the door behind her. You really are going to look crazy being on that side, given the cultural phenomenon of Vice President Kamala Devi Harris.
The cultural phenomenon, the one she barely mentioned just 2 weeks ago, when she would vote for Joe Biden in a coma, never once mentioned her. Never once. But let's see, who exactly is the person that Joy Reid is telling us that we need to vote for? You know, we black people, that we have to vote for. Exactly what are we voting for? This very well accomplished, bright, intelligent black woman.
I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. Culture is, it is a reflection of our moment in our time. I said, tell me how you all are thinking about the climate crisis. And they shared with me a term, climate anxiety. The National Rainbow Coalition. Think about that. He defined the rainbow. Transportation is fundamentally about just making sure that people have the ability to get where they need to go. I will believe in what can be. It is clear that the clock is not only ticking, it is banging. What we are developing now, that will be to the benefit of our country. Then, there are polls that also say I have great approval rating.
There are polls that say she has great approval ratings. I don't know which one she's looking at. So, Joy, is that who it is you're talking about? Maybe, you know what? Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe that's just a one-off. Maybe Kamala is a lot brighter than we're giving her credit for. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Here's some other great quotes by Kamala Harris. Let's see whether or not she's misunderstood.
We have the ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been.
I remember this one.
And then to make the possible actually happen. The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time. Working women who are working full-time, year-round. I am here, standing here Imagine a future based on what we've just been able to see, and because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
To see where we are headed, where we are going, and our vision for where we should be. A friend in need is a friend indeed. I went off script a little bit.
Oh, she's amazing. She's amazing. She's just an amazing orator. Did somebody say that this was Obama 2.0? Is that what somebody said? They said it feels like Obama in 2008. Absolutely. I'm not done. There's more. Joy Reid really, really wants you to support her. So I think it's only right, as a black man, that I show my support for Kamala Harris. Here's some more of her great, great musings.
We have the power today to have an impact on tomorrow, and we can't shortchange the significance of that.
Should we have done that sooner?
We are doing it.
Or should we have done it sooner?
We are doing it. Here's the motivation. You figure out what kind of gives you, your brain like a tingle. I mean, the thing about Doug is that he is exactly who he is. If you want to figure out how to get across town to some restaurant you heard is great, you usually do Google. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. It's actually stronger to be kind than it is to be mean. And that's a winning argument every time.
It was a debate. That the whole reason, literally, it was a debate. It was called a debate.
We must together work together. It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. It's so fundamental. It's so fundamental. We do things that are about saying that our Department of Justice is going to do these investigations. Dream with ambition. Have big dreams. You'll remember that? Yes. All right. See you later.
Oh, I get it now. I get it. I totally get it. I've been missing it entirely. Kamala Harris is a genius. An idiot savant. That's what she is. Mark West Hartford says, do you have Joy Reid's contact info? I'd like to text her a message. Hey, Props is in the room. He said, last night, the only people I hear talking about woke, DEI, and CRT are Republican personalities. In the real world, it's not a big talking point and never comes up. Well, I don't know whether or not you've been paying attention, but, I've got a soundbite of Al Sharpton. I just played yesterday on my show with Al Sharpton talking about the importance of DEI. And after the Supreme Court decision, went so far as to say that some 30 Republican governors were trying to remove it from their state legislature, and he was upset about that. In fact, even threatened lawsuits. The only people talking about DEI. The only people talking about DEI. You said, look, the interesting part about what Props is saying is that what he said in the chat room is exactly what I said earlier, and he may have been late, but I said it earlier. Remember defund the police? There were people running around saying defund the police from the Democrat Party. You know who they are. Cori Bush was one of them. And then she got caught out there spending more money for her own personal security. Then she got caught out there again paying her own husband or then boyfriend for said personal security to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, while she was actively telling the rest of her constituents that they needed to defund the police in their communities, right? And then when it went south, after all of the burnings of buildings and the dozens killed, they turned around and had the audacity to say that defund the police was an advent of Republican talking points. Like, we missed all of that? Like, that wasn't a party platform? We did not see people screaming in the streets? No, we missed all that. Come on, man. Tara P says she can't keep a staff. Kamala writes her own speeches. This may be true. Well, they're going to have to give her a staff this time. Going to have to give her one this time. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. He's Mark Christopher. Don't forget to check me out tonight after the president's speech at ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Good night, Mark.
Hey, Reese, good night to you. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. If you're heading into Hartford right now and you're on the...
All right, good, sir. You enjoy your evening.
Thank you,
Tomorrow,
sir.
Back regular, man.
You got it, man.
Town.
So,
Westbound
thank
side
God.
of 84
Nightmare.
Traveling south on 91, slowing by 33 Jennings Road. A lot of folks heading into the Meadows.
Okay, folks. From my perspective, defunded believes the concert created by naive children. Yeah, it was naive. All right, thank you, guys. All right, I'll see you tonight after the president's speech. That'll be roughly about 8:30, 8:45 Eastern, also on WBEN.com. It is always a pleasure, and I owe it all to you. Thanks, folks.